Welcome in, the weekend almost here. Brett and I will take you right into it. Last night, what a game at FedEx Forum. The Grizzlies rally back from down big at the half. And then Ja Morant does his great thing by what could have been the winning score. He drives, he scores. They've got a 1-point lead, and then Drew Holiday spoiled it all by making his own big shot, and the Grizzlies fall in heartbreaking fashion to Milwaukee by 1. I think, Brett, it was just great to see a close game because this is an amazing fact. If I read this or heard this correctly, last night was the first time the Grizzlies had had a close game in almost forever. There was a streak of 18 straight games, longest in the history of the NBA, where the game had been decided either way, win or lose, by 9 points or more. So the last 18 games were not close games, were not considered really good games, certainly not that clutch period, the last 5 minutes of a game, because they were never close. And last night it was a great game, didn't come out the right way. But that's against one of the elite teams. So, again, you go into the break, I don't think this loss is going to cost you any momentum.
I don't either, Dave, and it was probably the tough luck loss of the year. We talk about wins of the year. That was the one if you get down to it and you're on the outside looking in of the tournament, of even being the 10 seed, that's the one you'd like to have back. But that's the one you'd like to have back if you're a 7 and you'd like to look back and possibly be a 6 seed. But they have not been in a lot of close games, as that long stretch indicates. And now going into the break, we know what's going to happen coming out of the break. It's going to be rat-a-tat-tat basketball. Yeah. I mean, just every time you look up, they're going to be playing or they're going to be traveling, one or the other. There won't be a lot of practices, and that's rough on a young team because the young teams every team I think gets better with practice, but there will be no time for practice. There won't be a lot of time for a lot of walkthroughs and pregame stuff because every chance they can to get off their feet and rest their legs, they're going to have to.
Well, that's really a great point because it's not just where you're not going to get a lot of practice in for any team. This is a team trying to meld people together. Winslow's played, 5 games? Jaren Jackson Jr. hasn't played at all. So you're trying to get these guys time together that you won't have unless it's really game time competition.
Yeah, it's just going to be very difficult to integrate a lot of young, moving parts that aren't used to this. Desmond Bain, not used to this. Ja Morant, just a second year. Brandon Clark, the same. And then as far as being a teammate, Justice Winslow, practically still introducing himself to in-game players.
So you're spot on with that. That lack of practice because there's going to be game, or travel. You're playing, what is it, 40 games in 66 days? Is that what it is?
Yeah. From March 10th to May 16th will be 40 games and 32 down, 40 to go to get to the mark of 72 that all the NBA wants to get to. I think it's miraculous that the NBA has gotten to this point with it not being bigger issues with scheduling, heck, for that matter, health for someone.
I think, if I remember correctly, that a total of only 30 games have been postponed for the entire league. 30. That's remarkable considering, there are some college teams that have lost half that games by themselves.
Well, it is, Dave, and you look at that great percentage of games played, and it highlights in the pandemic, it's screaming headline on a postponement, on a delay, and it's not when games get played. Even with the college basketball teams that have had the inordinate amount of missed games, of the ones scheduled, I guarantee you college basketball is still batting 75%, 80% of what was scheduled got played at some point. Maybe not on the date in the preseason schedule, and you had these added on games too that kind of could fluff up a percentage. But you see very few games. I think last night in college basketball, 4 games were postponed, canceled, and at this point they are canceled. And that wasn't anything in a tournament except for the Patriot League earlier in the week with the announcement of Holy Cross against Loyola of Maryland, and now already tonight across college basketball. I think, and it's not. I think 2 games canceled so far today and tonight across college basketball, and this weekend is like Ohio and Bowling Green in the MAC. They're canceled, but that's not that's not their tournament, and that's the only game. There's one game so far in college basketball today.
Well, USF and SMU, or not USF. SMU was supposed to play Tulsa this week, and that's why they ended up playing
tomorrow.
Northeastern, and then Cincinnati was supposed to play somebody in the conference, and that's why they had the bright idea to play and get clobbered by Vanderbilt. That certainly didn't help their cause or the league's cause. I again, am baffled by the way that games ended up getting scheduled or not scheduled by the American Athletic Conference teams. And the commissioner just absolutely, positively did not step in and try to orchestrate competitive balance in the league. And that is really, really a shame. It'll be very, very interesting to me to see what he has to say at the tournament, because he's going to have to talk there. There is usually sort of the intro to everybody, sort of the state of the league address. He's had at least that every year. I'll be shocked if he doesn't have it this year, but, basically the league said to me when we asked, and I'm going to look forward to talking to Jason Munns here in about an hour as to what was the answer given to them in terms of what the commissioner's response is to questions. And, basically they said to me, well, there's not really a whole lot he can say. These were the decisions. That's the way it is. And he knows he's getting killed. He absolutely knows he's getting killed, but he doesn't have an answer, and that's why he's not talking.
Yeah, it's going to stay with him. It's going to stay with him a long time. One thing locally that will, I don't know if it'll start the forgive or the forget process, but it'll sure allay things, would be a Tigers win on Sunday. That it wouldn't smart as much if the Tigers won on Sunday, but a narrow loss on Sunday, it would be very natural for people to say, if that game had been played at FedEx Forum, that would have been a win.
I think that's very possible. Here's the thing that really kind of upsets me a bit.
But a Tiger win dulls the sting a little bit.
It will. The ramifications,
the wrong decision.
Well, the ramifications are if Memphis does not win, it upsets the way the real balance should have been in the seeding, because they've handed Wichita State the 1 seed.
Yeah.
So now if Memphis loses,
it threw everything out of kilter.
If Memphis loses on Sunday at Houston, and let me tell you, the line would have been a lot closer in Memphis than it will be in Houston, where they've lost 1 game in that new building since they built it in the league. Okay,
and I can't find a line for Sunday.
I haven't found it yet either. I just can tell you this. There's no question, had it been in Memphis, the line would be different than it will be at the Fertitta Center. And if they lose it, then they
likely the outcome
are almost certainly, unless they were to lose to UCF at the moment. I think that's the team they will end up playing in the quarterfinals a week from today. If they lose that game in Houston on Sunday, they're most assuredly going to play Houston again instead of Wichita State, which is really the way it should be. Or SMU should be in the mix, but that's caused by COVID. You can't really point fingers there. But, you should probably get to play in the tournament Wichita State by fairness before you would have to play Houston again. But that's not the way it's going to be, because all Wichita State has to do now is win at home against a decimated USF team. Now, that line is probably double digits. I don't know if you found one on that, but I would be shocked if that isn't Wichita State by double digits over USF. We don't even know who will play for USF. And then,
college basketball
they're
usually
one
about a day ahead of time on
Right.
spreads.
Right.
You're right. It throws the competitive balance out of whack, Dave. That's what it is, and that's unfortunate for Mike Oresco. A decision that will stay with him forever. And with a Tiger win on Sunday, while it may soften things locally, it could rim wreck the league for 3 bids or 2 bids even.
Even
now,
2
Mike
bids,
DeCourcy
yeah.
today at Fox College basketball, Mike is up to 2 bids for the American, and those 2 in his bracket are Houston as a 3 seed in Wichita State in one of the play-in games.
Okay. Well, in my mind, Wichita State is not worthy of that, but that's just the way it's going to be. And
I don't think so either.
You look at their
what
record.
are the metrics to support Wichita State?
It's 2 quad 1 wins. That's what it is. I mean, because and again, I don't know how you get to where you get in the net ranking because they're behind Memphis without a quad 1 win, and Memphis beat them by 20. Maybe that goes into that particular formula, and that's why they're ahead of them. But in all of every single bracketology, and it's got to be because they really look at those quad 1 wins. Wichita State has 2 quad 1 wins, and that's why they're in over Memphis in the bracketology.
Wichita State is a 12-point favorite tomorrow.
12 point. I knew it would be double digit. Yeah, 12-point favorite. And I'll tell you right now, if I were to use Brett's FanDuel account and use his money, how
much?
I would bet a bunch.
I'm locking it in now, Dave.
Wichita State, that's a lock from me. They're gonna cover that line.
I got 143 in my account right now. Bet it all?
Bet it all. Bet it all. Yeah, because I don't think Yetna's going to play. I don't think Durr's going to play. I'm not sure Caleb Murphy, their really good freshman guard, he got hurt in our game. If you're Brian Gregory, why wouldn't you go, well, we're not going to win this game. Let's rest everybody. We'll be like the rest of the league is doing. Let's just rest and hope maybe we can make a run if we're healthy enough in the tournament. Why should we even play this game? We weren't supposed to play Wichita State
Drew.
now anyway.
Let it ride.
Y'all going to give me any type of insurance in case?
The only insurance I'm giving
good
you
luck, go get them.
Is exactly right.
Appreciate
it.
We'll be there for you if it doesn't turn out well.
Yeah.
We will be there for you. Mike DeCourcy has 9 from the Big Ten, 7 from the Big 12, 7 from the ACC, 6 from the SEC, 4 from the Big East and the Pac-12.
Well, the first part,
3 from the A-10.
Isn't this
2 from the Mountain West, 2 from the West Coast Conference, 2 from the Valley, and 2 from the American.
That sounds almost exactly like Shelby Mast. I think
it's codified time of the year.
Yeah, I think that is exactly the same. Now I don't know about the seed lines because I know Wichita State's not in the play-in game. They're a 10 seed on Shelby Mast. Wasn't that right? Yeah.
Mike's 4 number 1s are Michigan, Baylor, Illinois, and Gonzaga.
Yep, same.
His 2 seeds are West Virginia, Ohio State, Bama, Iowa. His 3s are KU, Villanova. Boy, KU played with fire last night.
Kansas,
Villanova, Arkansas, and Houston. Yeah, according to Mike DeCourcy.
Well, Shelby Mast said this was a weak year for a lot of teams, especially in the bubble. If this year's Kansas team is a 3 seed, wow, I don't think it's a great year for sure.
I know it's not, Dave. Look at Shelby's next 4 in. He at Ole Miss has crept back in. Ole Miss would be safely in the bracket without the back-to-back Saturday losses at home to Mississippi State and on the road at Vandy in front of 85 people.
Yeah.
85 may not touch it.
Crazy. Yeah. And why was Kansas playing that game again?
I don't know. Tack on time of the year. Arkansas, 3 seed, according to Mike DeCourcy, in the bracket with Baylor as the 1, Ohio State as the 2, Arkansas as the 3, and Purdue as the 4. So if it went to according to grid, it would be in the Sweet 16, Baylor against against Purdue and Arkansas against Ohio State.
Do you think that we go more according to grid because of the pandemic this year, or we have more upsets this year? Because I am not going to buy that people won't care once they're in the tournament. Because once you make the tournament, I do think
Grid.
you really care. Grid. You think more grid. Drew?
Grid, pretty chalky.
I'm going to say it's kind of going to follow the NBA bubble. I don't think that was as chalky as we thought it would be. So I'm going to say it's going to be up in the air.
I think
those were series.
That's true.
That is true.
Here's why I think Drew is correct. I think it won't be chalky because I don't think the committee really knows how to seed this tournament. I think Arkansas is clearly a 3 seed. I don't think Kansas is. They're going to be that because we just don't know. We haven't had enough of a sampling to really know with games played by non-conference opponents to really get a feel as to where each of those conferences truly is. Maybe there could be a way over seeding of Big 12 teams like the Kansas thing. Look what the SEC did. They basically won the Big 12 SEC challenge. Nobody would have thought that would happen. I don't know if the seeding is going that way, but I think that they don't know with enough sampling and this flawed net ranking, they're not going to be able to seed this thing right for it to be chalky.
I think the better players on kind of the more glamorous teams will still kind of build in the chalk. We talked about betting on basketball this weekend. Jump in with Drew and let it ride on Wichita State tomorrow. I love that. I do love that. And one of the things I love about betting on the basketball is you're always finding new player props or game props that you can have so much fun with. And what's really, really fun about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. It's called a same game parlay bet, and you can find them at FanDuel. So many NBA market options, player point totals, rebounds, assists, money line, over, under, point spreads, chance to put a small bet down and win big. All the different totals, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks. And right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 back each day if your parlay falls one leg short with same-game parlay insurance. That's why we love FanDuel. That's one of the many reasons why we love it. Easy to register, easy to deposit, and when you win, you get your money back in as little as 24 hours. It's only the fair thing to do. It's your money. You've won it. You get it back. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and try a same-game parlay and use promo code CASH. That's promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $25. Terms do apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town. They are at 2600 Ridgeway, and they are online at lexusofmemphis.com. 901-362-8833. Start your spring the right way and start it at Lexus of Memphis, where they are offering the Golden Opportunity Spring Sales Event. Great offers on all 2021 models and always special lease options. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2021 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in some style. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Yeah, well, this is the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest game in the Penny Hardaway era for his Memphis Tiger basketball team. The showdown in Houston on Sunday. Penny today basically said they have to match the physicality. I think that is right on, and I think this team is capable of doing just that. They certainly have the last couple of games. Also, my congratulations to one of the great women in sports from this community. Mary Lou Johns yesterday was voted into the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. 368 and 215 over 19 years, from 72 to 91. Fifth winningest coach in the history of the state of Tennessee when it comes to college basketball. 2 Metro titles, 3 NCAAs in the 19 years, 15 winning seasons, 3 times. She was her conference's coach of the year, and just a classy, cool lady. Loved to watch her play golf. She was just a competitor in whatever she did. Just a great, wonderful lady. I'm so happy for Mary Lou Johns and her family.
Well said, Dave, and I echo every single word you just said, including your Tiger angle. It is my top story. It's everybody's top story in these parts. Sunday shootout in Texas against the Houston Cougars. Big matchup. Means a big step toward an at-large bid for the Tigers, or it will mean next weekend you got to win 3 straight in Fort Worth to go to the NCAA tournament, and that'll be the only way to go and avoid 7 straight danceless March Madness tournaments. Hard to believe it will be 7, but that's for next week. But for this week, it is. It's the biggest game. It's not close to the biggest game in regular season Tigers history.
No.
It's just not close.
People,
but it is.
The program is going to 3 Final Fours. There was a one versus 2 in the FedEx Forum in 12 years
But even
ago.
regular season. I mean,
that's 1 versus 2 in 2008.
I mean, it's been big Arkansas games, big Kansas games, big Tennessee games, but this is the biggest Penny Hardaway game.
Absolutely,
in his tenure.
absolutely.
That's what we've said.
Yeah. I think it was Greg Gaston who said that Tony Matlock had said that the win at Tennessee last year was the biggest. That might have been the biggest win thus far in the Penny Hardaway era, but it wasn't the biggest game. And this one is, because this one has absolutely, positively NCAA connotations. And as we sit, if we just cost poor Drew Barrett his $143 and Wichita were to lose tomorrow, it could also mean that the Tigers would win the regular season championship. That is
143 or 146, Drew? How much you got in that account?
I believe $143.
143.
Yeah.
Let it ride.
Let it
ride.
Let it ride.
And then after you win on Saturday, you're up 286. Let it all ride on your alma mater.
Ooh, we got to see the line on that first. But if it doesn't happen,
then you're up 462. That's gaming, Drew.
That's if I'm getting right at plus 100 odds. I doubt that, but that's gaming. Though.
And if Wichita State were to lose for you tomorrow, that would become
not top story of the day.
That's exactly what it would become. Exactly.
We'll be there for you, though.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. The not top story for me is we have entered Phase 1C, or we will on March the 8th. The goal is 700,000 vaccinations in Shelby County by August the 1st. So you're basically saying, heck, you do that by the middle of August, we're really back to some real degree of normalcy. 178 new cases, 3,400 tests. That's part of the reason why the cases were up. Only 5% positivity. That's good. There were 6 deaths. That is unfortunate. In the U.S., 25,000 new cases. So we're still going down. 8.9 million active. That's better. Down to 24.5 million active around the world. So that is also a plus. As those of us who've been watching these numbers since it began basically a year ago in 6 days, it'll be a year, we've watched them climb. We're watching them come down. There is no question we have, in the words of a former president, we have turned the corner.
I hope so. I hope we can hang, in the kind of words of a former president, way too prematurely. We can hang a sign that says mission accomplished. My not top story, Grizzlies lose maybe the tough luck loss of the year last night. That was an excruciating regular season loss. All the games, but that one stung. That one really, it did. 16-16 with 40 to go, as we said. Next game, next Wednesday at FedEx Forum against Washington. They're winners of 8 out of the last 11, one of those 3 losses against the Grizzlies in D.C. earlier in the week. A lot of basketball from March 10th to May 16th, and maybe it'll end in playoffs.
I sure hope so. One last note, we never touched on this yesterday, and I really meant to bring it up. The passing of Irv Cross a couple of days ago. Irv was one of the original NFL Today people, and Mike Pearl, who I think was the producer for that, also had passed away.
Only Brent's left. The whole crew's gone. Phyllis George, Irv Cross, Jimmy the Greek.
Yep.
The producer, Mike Pearl. Only Brent left.
Mike Pearl and Irv Cross died in the same week, too. That is certainly weird. But
that was something. Irv Cross played football at Northwestern. Did you see him in college, or were you too look small of a guy?
I don't honestly.
Too young?
I don't remember him playing there at all. I remember knowing it because he was a trailblazer. People forget.
Yeah, he was probably done at Northwestern by the time you were old enough to go to games.
He was the first African American on a prominent sports TV show that I could ever remember. And
later was AD at Idaho State, and Idaho State opened a season one year in Oxford in the Tommy Tuberville years, and he was there in the press box and was just a very nice man.
He was class. You know that? I mean, he was really and truly a gentleman.
He was.
And he did. I came across in his delivery, eloquent.
Good guy persona.
Really, absolutely. A guy that will certainly be missed. A pioneer, no question about it. We are officially underway. Bruce Marshall is going to be with us here in just a couple of minutes at 4 o'clock. Jason Munns. We're going to do some heck yeah, hell no. That will come your way at 4:30. Then at 5 o'clock, Andy Schiffman, our agent in Chicago. We got some crunch time coming your way to get you into the weekend at about 5:50. So officially, Friday has begun on Sports Time.
Same great shows.
We welcome you back to Sports 56 Middays.
What's up? It's Sports 56 Happy Hour.
A new spot on the FM dial. Check out Sports 56 on our new FM home at 98.5.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2 chocolate chip muffins coming in. Thank you.
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Hey, can someone get that?
Like at Claire's Cafe. To satisfy demand for takeout, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
One thing I really admire about Central Barbecue is their commitment to quality.
Then why do they let you do their commercials?
I'm talking about their food. Everything is prepared with devotion to taking the time and effort to create perfect barbecue.
Oh, I know. That's exactly why I was wondering why...
They're not kidding with that slow-smoked Memphis-style slogan. They smoke their pork for 14 hours. Do they have to? They do if they want to be the best barbecue in Memphis, and they are.
And yet they let you just throw together...
There's nothing better than Central Barbecue because they care.
Except apparently about their radio ads.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel. The app is simple to use, great odds on all different betting markets, and when you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, and right now, FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Fast withdrawals, the odds boosts, range of betting options, live betting. Just place a bet on any game and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back in site credit if you don't win your first bet. Just place any bet you want on college, pro, anything. If you win, just keep the cash. If you lose, you'll get your entire bet up to $1,000 back in site credit. If you never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH. That's promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable, expires 14 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios, where family and fun come together. Well, not right here, really. It's at I-40 and Wooden Road, and that's not only where the fun is, but that is where the factory direct pool and patio sales taking place, with all that 2021 inventory right there in the house now and available. Pool season right around the corner. We got a real taste of it yesterday. I believe it got to 75 yesterday. It was just outstanding, and it just reminded me, you want to get the right price now. Beat the rush, get the priority for installation. You be the first one in your block to get your pool done. Yeah, it's there. It's ready with a good price. They also have spas in stock. They're ready for installation. And if you want your backyard to feel more homey, have a different look, spend more time out there, nothing beats the set of patio furniture that you can get from Family Leisure, and special financing is available. Please, this weekend, maybe right after the Memphis game, head on over to I-40 and Wooden Road and check out this sale that Family Leisure has put together for you. To Vegas we go, to the Golden Man. That is Bruce Marshall, and we just mentioned Brent Musburger is the last living guy from that NFL Today set, that production, the whole thing with Mike Pearl passing away the same week as Irv Cross did. I was just curious if you had any Irv Cross stories.
Actually, well, this it's kind of sad. Irv did go to Northwestern when Brent was there. So that was a connection, and I didn't realize that until not long ago, that's how they first met each other. But I haven't seen Brent. Actually, I'm in Florida this week, so
wow.
So I'm not sure if Brent's even in Vegas right now. But it is kind of sad with Irv. He was one of the biggest hitters and a safety spot in the NFL in the '60s. I mean, he was a mean sucker. You would never know that watching how nice he was on screen. And
right,
how wasn't. But he was a real tough guy in the secondary there. Even Jim Brown tipped his cap to Irv. He said, "This is one of the biggest hitters I ever faced." And he was one of the guys that George Allen brought over early in his Rams tenure when he started to revive the Rams in the mid-'60s after they fired Harlan Savari. So I think the thing about Irv was he was a lot meaner player than people might have realized, although he's a very nice guy off the field. He was also athletic director for a little while at Idaho State. So he had a very varied career after his football days were over.
He did, Bruce, and you think what, and Dave think what a trailblazing, revolutionary, trend set. I mean, just everything you can think of, how far ahead of its time that show in the very staid 70s.
Right.
That it was. You had the host that wasn't scared to bring an opinion in Brent. You had the first female. You had the first African American. You had a known gambler. I mean, not just guy, putting out odds and for newsmanner only. Jimmy the Greek made his chops as a known gambler, and CBS with the Stones to put that on and to see how very popular that it became.
Well, you're right, Brad. And the interesting thing, when they did that, it was in the '74 season, and it was after the season began. I want to say after about 5 or 6 weeks. And because Brent started that season still doing play-by-play for football. Now he maintained his NBA and college basketball play-by-play for several years after that, but they switched some assignments around. Pat Summerall became the number one football guy that year, but I don't even think he was at the start of that season. Ray Scott had been moved out after 73, and then then they paired up Summerall and Brookshire right about the same time. But this all happened like midway through the 74 season, so which is very odd. CBS used to have preview shows for a half hour before the games, but not a real studio show like that. Frank Gifford hosted one with highlights early in the 60s, and Summerall and Jack Whitaker did the same thing after Frank went to ABC. They also had a show in the early mid-60s called Countdown to Kickoff on Saturday. It was a great show hosted by Tom Harmon.
I remember that show. I actually saw it get done in Chicago at Wrigley Field on a Saturday. Yeah. We just wandered in and saw them doing it and met Tom Harmon. You're spot on, though, with what you said, Stats. If you think about it, this was the first show to have a woman featured. It was the first show to have an African-American featured. It had an opinionated, not just a sort of transition guy in a host. And when you said a known gambler in Jimmy the Greek, it was the first recognition that we are betting on games. It was a tout who was known, and he was featured for a reason, basically to say,
I didn't even know what it was he was talking about.
It's
I'm going
okay
minus
to gamble.
7.
Yeah, it's
what does that
okay.
mean?
We're all betting on these games, folks. It's okay to look at that now. That's what
over and under.
That's what CBS was saying.
Yeah, it was, and they set the template that almost 50 years later everybody's still imitating. But before that, there really weren't shows. They had these other sorts of shows, but not that studio sort of show. And you remember, I mean, half times we used to be watching the bands at halftime of the games and playing on the field, and then
the majorette throwing up flaming batons.
Yeah, and they would have CBS at least had in the production truck outside the stadium. They would do a little scoreboard wrap up sometimes. Bruce Roberts, Chicago, he did some of that too.
He was great.
He was good, and. But no, they set the template for an entire industry that is still there, and yes, they were ahead of their time. Trailblazers.
And you're right, Bruce, being copied today. Everything they did in 1974, 75, trying to be emulated today. And now they had how long would it run pregame? Would it come on an hour before?
No, I think it was a half hour.
Half hour, but they would at halftime though. You wanted to go back to the studio there and see what they were saying about the other games going on. So they kept it going. One other interesting note: for a little bit, Pat Summerall was actually their number one NBA announcer the first year they got.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Well, I don't
contract
remember that
from ABC, and then Brent took over as the NBA guy. Summerall really didn't want to do basketball. He wasn't all that bad, and they teamed with Rick Barry in the playoffs after the Warriors got knocked out, and that sort of got Barry going in that career for several years.
That's amazing. I remember him with Tony Trabert on tennis, and he was fantastic. He was excellent on golf for sure. As he took over that lead role, I think from Jack Whitaker, and then I had no idea he had ever done basketball. And and we've been talking a little bit about Brent because of the Jim Nance negotiations that are going on now, and there's always that reference to Musburger, who they thought got a little too big for his britches, and they figured it was time to move a new guy in, and that they could do fine without Brent, and it did. Now Brent did great. He went to ESPN, and he kept doing all the big games anyway. But clearly, it was to show that the network is the boss, not the announcer, and we'll see what happens now with Jim Nance. I asked Brett this a little bit earlier, so let me ask you, Bruce, as we get ready for the selection committee to go and we get set for an NCAA tournament. Do you think, because of the COVID pandemic, the games will go more to chalk, or will we see more upsets?
I tend to think the latter. But that line has been sort of blurred this year. I think you're going to see a lot of games. Here's what's going to happen. The committee, I think, is going to, again, slant the field toward the power leagues. And like we mentioned a little bit last week, they have set up a system that these teams in the power conferences don't get hurt that much by losses. Talk about setting the stage for these. I mean, Rutgers are saying, well, Nebraska, that doesn't hurt Nebraska too much. While at the same time, they're saying, well, geez, look, Memphis' losses to Tulsa, those are bad losses. How about St. Bonaventure losing that game the other night to Dayton? No, that's a bad loss. They have set this up for the Big Ten and them to get in the tournament. Now, once they're there, odds makers know there's not a lot of difference between some of these teams. So you're not going to see a big spread. St. Bonaventure could play Purdue in the first round, and Purdue might be a 1-point favorite. And people are going to look around and say, what? This is Big Ten. There's going to be a disconnect between what the committee does and the point spreads and things you see. And a lot of the good mid-majors are as good, I think, as almost everybody. Maybe Gonzaga's in a different category, but we'll see. They haven't played a lot of non-conference games this year. That's the other mystery this year. We didn't see a lot of non-conference games. We saw some, but not near as many as we normally do. Yeah. So there's a little bit of extra mystery. But I think underdogs a little bit more, but you're going to be surprised. The point spreads are not going to be that big for most of these games in the opening round.
Bruce, you make a great point about the kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy of these bigger leagues. Michigan State and Maryland just can't lose enough to get knocked off of a seed line. And I'm watching a game right now between Virginia Common and Dayton, I think. Bones Highland for Virginia Common, he could be the guy in 3 weeks that people know a lot more about him then than they do now. Every year the tournament produces that type of player that, propels a team into the Sweet 16. Virginia Common's a really solid team. Now, he didn't do that much against the Tigers when they played way back in November, but he's a prolific scorer and has that look about him, and there are other teams out there like that.
Yeah, and some in the A-10. The A-10's kind of interesting. I think Richmond has probably played its way out of the conversation after losing that game to yesterday to Duquesne. But we mentioned St. Bonaventure. You talked about Virginia Commonwealth. St. Louis won a game today against UMass. St. Louis could be kind of interesting. St. Louis lost about a month of its season to COVID.
They did.
And a couple games coming back were slow, and then they finally got back into gear. But I'm not sure if that COVID pause and then slow out of it damaged them enough. That's the other thing, too. How's the committee? Are they going to weigh some of this stuff, some of these, one of the other factors
restarts,
restarts and teams that have had guys who were injured and then came back. Book night for Connecticut, although UConn didn't do that badly without Book night in there. They're starting to play very well right now. By the way, I think they could win the Big East tournament. With news that Gillespie is out for Villanova, and Creighton has suspended Greg McDermott, their coach, for a bit. So this is
but they haven't said for how long the McDermott suspension is. So it could be the one game. It's really weird how this whole story is now going with McDermott. That's worthy of a topic of conversation for a whole segment, I think. But I did want to ask you this, going back to those, the chalkiness and the point spreads. And I don't mean this to be a self-serving thing for Vegas and the things that you do, but I think it's a fair question. If we see that, like a 12-5 game or even a 13-4 game where the line might normally be 7-8 points and they're 1 or 2, should we then say, the committee didn't do a very good job of seeding this thing?
Well, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I just think that's the reality of college hoops this year. There's not, if anything, if they're going to take 9 or 10 Big Ten teams, I think we could say, cut it out, committee. I mean, we know what you're doing. Maybe they weren't worthy. Some of those, if an Indiana or a Minnesota get in, they're going to get in on the probably 11 or 12 line. But still, I think that might be more of what we're looking at there. But I think it's just the nature of this season. And by the way, some other teams to watch from the low mid major ranks or mid major. Watch Jacksonville State this game against Belmont tonight in the OVC. Ray Harper, you talk about a guy, Jacksonville State's coach, who has waved a magic wand in March before. Don't forget, this guy won 2 Division II titles at Kentucky Wesleyan. He won a couple of NAIA titles at Oak City. He's taken Western Kentucky and the Gamecocks of JSU into the dance 3 different times when they were not the favorites in their conference tournament. Big game with Belmont tonight, and Belmont's big kid, Mushinski, has been hurt, and he played very little in the game the other night against SIU Edwardsville. So that sort of team, if they could slip in there, Jacksonville State, 13 or 14 seed, they could beat somebody.
That Belmont team's pretty good, though.
Yeah, if Belmont didn't lose those 2 games without Mushinski last week, I think they were looking at about an 8 or 9 seed because they were 24-1 at that point. So this might have knocked their ranking down, seeding down a bit, but they'd probably come in about a 10 or 11 if they win the OVC. Jacksonville State would probably come in about a 14 if it wins. Morehead State's also there too. That's a pretty good tournament they got going for the Final Four, and they're playing that one in Evansville this year.
All right, last thing, because
Bruce Marshall, that is incredible. You just distinguished yourself in this segment of why I've said, and I mean this sincerely. I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm not trying to flatter you. You know I love you. Why you are the smartest man in sports. You went from the entire background story in the 70s on this NFL Today show to a breakdown of 2021 of a Jacksonville State Gamecock basketball team.
There you go. I tell my wife I'm smart. She doesn't believe me, but I have to listen. I have to listen to her though. So.
I got news for you. That's a universal. We know that one for a fact. Are you going to be in Vegas at all for the 5 tournaments you got going there?
Yeah, but I'm not going to any this year.
Right.
And they're starting this week. I mean, it's been tough. I don't, the Golden Knights even this year, it's been harder to go. They've cut the number of press fields. I haven't even gone to a Golden Knights game this year. So I'm just going to watch them on TV, and we'll see. But, yeah, it gets crazy next week in Vegas. But I wonder how crazy it's going to be. Usually we get, fans traveling to watch the Mountain West. Pac-12 usually have big crowds. I think they're going to let limited numbers of people. And Gonzaga will be coming in with its people because the WCC starting, and not as many. They usually bring 6,000 or 7,000 fans in, and I only think they're letting maybe 1,500 in at the Orleans Arena. Yeah. So not the big crowd coming in like usual.
No. How do we get more of you?
Check us out online, goldsheet.com. We got every day Gold Sheet basketball. We pick it up. It's all college this weekend because the NBA is on the All-Star break. And so it's that every day new stuff, goldsheet.com, picks every day. My picks there too, also at Vegas Insider and donbest.com.
Every day it's a good day at the Gold Sheet. Thank you, Bruce Marshall. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
That is our golden guy. We are back in just a minute. We'll put a wrap on this very first hour on Friday of Sports Time on Sports 56.
Do you know who I am?
Who are you? I'm Superfly TNT.
Johnny Radio.
Where do you want to be? 1 to 3? Right here with me. Sports 56, 98.5, 96.1 FM, Monday through Friday. This is Sports 56 Happy Hour, your good buddy Johnny Radio.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies, we will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
What I'm saying is, this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me. Sing if you're with me, yeah.
Coming up at 4 o'clock, Jason Munns will join us. We will check in on what his thoughts are about the big game on Sunday. This portion of the show brought to you by Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Ken has been in this business his whole life. His dad, first generation, he's second generation. They've been building dream homes in the Memphis area for over 50 years. And Ken understands you're committing. It's a big decision. That's why he works incredibly closely with all of his clients, ensuring they get exactly what they want and they expect. That's quality construction, on time, on budget. He's been doing that, again, for a long, long time. If you got a piece of land, you're not sure what to do with it, Ken will know. You're looking for land. Ken may have some. You're looking for a community. They've been involved with a lot of gated communities. Leilon was the latest, and, man, that was a successful venture there. If you'd like to see what he's all about, go to kengarland.com. And then if you'd really like to know what he's all about, you call him. He's an interesting guy to talk with. He sees little details, big picture, all at once. 751-1632. That's the number if you're ready for that dream house. 751-1632. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders.
Did you see what UConn did today in football?
Yes, that's the biggest waste of money
ever.
I have that but that borders on, in my mind,
obscene.
It borders on irresponsibility. In case people
UConn
do not
football
know.
that's gone down to FCS level, and they hemorrhage money. And our buddy Joe D has told us about the huge budget financial restraints that they are under, even including men's basketball and Gino Ariama's top shelf women's basketball program. And they tack on 2 years to Randy Edsall today. Yep. And Dave, the SEC and other leagues, the Tigers and what they paid Cal, and Kentucky what they paid Cal, the Tigers and what they just tacked on to Coach Hardaway, that always comes under a lot of criticism. At least those places can afford it.
Those places should make their money. Yeah, and Penny is still a draw. I don't think there's any question about that. Randy Edsall, 2 years, $1.256 million each year. They're adding to their debt. First of all, I got a feeling when that thing is all over in 2023, they will end that football in 2023. I'll be shocked if they continue to play. Bruce just mentioned how he didn't think these conferences in the tournaments in Vegas are really going to draw a whole lot of people. I was really curious because the Grizzlies last week, you'll recall, were given the nod by the health department to go ahead and start selling single-game tickets on top of the season tickets that they could have. So I thought the ceiling with the new deal was like 3,600 tickets. Maybe more, but right around there. Last night in the house for one of the best games really so far this year, 1,960 fans. So
I wonder what the scan count was.
That's what they had on the announcement. You're the one that has the insight into the scan. That was what they put in the box score was 1,900.
Well, that's usually a little fluffed up.
Yeah. But it just goes along
that
with
was fluff, people.
Yeah.
And I got the L in.
I am saying to you that goes along with what Bruce was just saying. And now there are probably some places, maybe some NFL stadiums where they went to the max. But in every event that I have been to where you could sell X amount of tickets, they didn't approach but halfway to the capacity that they were allowed to sell. People are still hesitant. Now, this is going to go away more and more as we get more shoulders that have needles put into them and that vaccination percentage goes up. I am certain more and more people will feel comfortable with going. But it's pretty evident to me by the fan count that is going to FedEx Forum at this point that Memphians, Shelby Countyans, this Mid-South region, they're not ready. They're not sure.
Well, I tell you one thing we're ready to do. We're ready to get back out and go eat because all the restaurants are doing well with some of the restrictions lessened. And the commissary, they're ready for you this weekend. And if you still want to drive through, if you still want it brought out to you, they, of course, they always can do that. 754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com in Collierville and Germantown. In Collierville, that drive-through, the patio, it'll be bustling this weekend. They're at Houston Levy and Poplar there, the original in Germantown. You know where it is. You know where both of them are. Memphis-style barbecue and ribs. Delicious, great Memphis-style food. That means slow. Start that barbecue feast with the great appetizers like the cheese plate, or the tamales, or the barbecue nachos, where they originated in the early 80s at the Germantown Commissary. Smoked chicken wings, they are terrific. Dig into the ribs or the shoulder, get it chopped or pulled, and always leave room for dessert. The best lemon icebox pie anywhere. Banana pudding, outstanding. It's all great at the commissary. You're going to watch all this basketball, and you're going to watch the Tigers on Sunday. Perfect way to do it. Order before the game or at halftime and enjoy the game on Sunday watching the Tigers and enjoy it with Commissary Barbecue. The new Collierville Commissary at Houston Levy and Poplar are the original in Germantown. 754-5540. Online at commissarybarbecue.com.
We take a pause. When we come back, Jason Munz will begin hour number 2 on this Friday edition of Sports Time on Sports 56.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we work our way to the weekend. And this weekend promises to be a lot of fun. Breakfast, brunch, however you want to put it, with the Tigers on Sunday. No better person than to talk a little bit about this than with the Tigers beat writer from the Commercial Appeal, the one and only Jason Munz, kind enough to join us every Friday in this time slot. I had tried several times and thought I was going to get Mike Oresco on this show. Probably, I was hoping for Tuesday, but certainly Wednesday or Thursday, and then the word came through Chuck Sullivan, their PR director, Jason, that he was just not going to talk to us this week because there was no definitive answer that he really could truly have. He knows he was going to take a hit on this. Mike, my question for you to begin is, what did he say to you? How did they preface the turndown to you?
I would say, so it wasn't directly to me. It was through Mark Giannotto, my colleague, our columnist, Commercial Appeal. He was the one who reached out to the league in an effort to get some sort of explanation for why the Memphis-Houston game that had been postponed on February 14th could not be rescheduled or would not be rescheduled for the block of days that both Houston and Memphis had open this week. And so the way it was explained to me via Giannotto is that that he was unavailable. Simply, we requested a bit of his time last Friday. Simply was told he was unavailable on Friday, and the way I understand it, Mark said, "Well, I'll talk to him Saturday. I'll talk to him Sunday. Whatever, whenever he's available, we would like to talk to him, or I would like to talk to him." And he was told, we don't do anything like this. We don't schedule interviews for Saturday, for the weekend. And we will try to get him with you at some point next week. And there's been nothing, and that's where it ended.
Jason, how does he locally with Tiger fans, and look, Memphis is a centerpiece member of this conference with what it's done in football, what historically it's done in basketball. Penny Hardaway with a big profile. How will he recover locally with this? How does he restore some of the gravitas he enjoyed before this week?
Very good question. I don't know. I don't know that it's. Of course, I would say, forward facing, I would assume Mike is going to, operate the same way he's always operated and put on a brave face and kind of act as if nothing ever happened. But the answer to your question is, I don't know. That's it's a position I wouldn't like to be in if I were him. Especially, I forget exactly what was it. It was like October 2019 when the Temple football game, the game up at Temple, where the catch, the non-catch, the Joey Magnifico non-catch, and the fact that but like, to his credit, even in that instance, he came out and answered questions as to why it wasn't, why the review, the different camera angles and all that stuff. Like he got in front of the media and explained, how that whole thing played out and why it played out the way it did. This sort of, not disappearing act, but whatever it is, it's not a good look. And I would assume eventually he's going to have to answer the questions that a lot of people have, and And I would imagine, if I had to guess, he's going to say that similar to what Kelvin Sampson said today on his Zoom call. The way Kelvin explained it, which I was on the Zoom call with a bunch of the Houston media and some of the Memphis media, and the way he explained it was the case that he pleaded to the league when all this was going down was, we've played 16 league games. Memphis has played whatever it is now, 14, I think it is, and Wichita has played 11. So why, if there's a game to be rescheduled, if there was a postponed game between Memphis and Wichita and Memphis and Houston, why would you not schedule Memphis and Wichita, given the fact that Wichita has played so many fewer games than Houston? And I think that argument ultimately is what won out. I think the league probably went to Memphis and said, hey, if you want to play Wichita on Thursday or Friday of this week in Wichita, go for it. And Memphis said, no, I don't think so. That would be 4 games in 8 days, all on the road, all the week before the conference tournament. And who would do that? Nobody in their right mind would do that. So when people say it's convoluted and it's crazy how this whole thing sort of played out, I think they're right to a certain degree. But when the question is asked of Mike Oresco, why couldn't you just cancel the Memphis USF game on Tuesday? Why couldn't you just cancel it? That's not going to be an easy question for him to answer.
It's also not an easy answer on why you let Calvin Sampson play no games this week. Just because he'd already played 16 conference games because they were lucky enough to not get COVID at the wrong time, or to be playing teams that weren't affected by COVID at the wrong time. I have a hard time with that one. If indeed that was what Calvin Sampson said, why didn't the league say, okay, I'll tell you what, we can't have Memphis play 4 straight road games. That's not right. How about this? You only play the 1 game, but you got to play it in Memphis because they're going to play 3 straight road games. What would he have said to that?
Probably nothing good.
Yeah. Well, here's the bottom line: is the commissioner, I think, in retrospect, probably won't say it now. He'll say it when he's either 5 years down the road or ready to retire. That he made a big mistake by allowing the athletic directors and the coaches the flexibility he gave them in their own scheduling, and not putting his foot down early on and saying, no, the league is going to do all this. For whatever reason, the league gave up being the keeper of the schedules, and it allowed stupidity. Why would Cincinnati go and embarrass themselves like they did with Vanderbilt last night? Why did Tulsa need to play Northeastern? That makes no sense to me either. What
the Western Kentucky Houston game made no sense.
Well, he just, I guess,
a week ago,
he wanted to play some games and there was nobody available that week. Why couldn't you have started switching things around with Wichita State and Memphis right then and there if you were trying to stay on top of this? He's not talking. It's a strategy. He's not talking because he knows he relinquished too much power to these guys that were only going to act in their self-interest.
Right.
And
coaches acting in their self-interest, Jason. There's your headline.
And the toothpaste was out of the tube. He couldn't seem to get it back, and he does not have a good answer. Now, I don't know what he's going to do at this tournament because he usually gives his state of the league sort of speech right before they give out the players of the year and the coach of the year. What are they going to do? He's going to have to say something.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, sooner or later. He will have to say something. I mean, another question. We're throwing out different questions. Another question is, I reported this last week that the league was minutes, and when I say minutes, I mean 3 minutes away from announcing the rescheduling of the Memphis USF game. It was supposed to be Wednesday. They were going to announce that it was moved up to Tuesday, and a corresponding move was going to be announced at the exact same time that Memphis and Houston were going to play on Thursday, which would have been yesterday. They were 3 minutes away from that.
Penny said it on his TV show. It was a done deal.
Yes, it was 3 minutes away from being done and being announced, being made official. And then all of a sudden, I received word that announcement was not happening. And then, as we know now, I think it was a day or maybe 2 days later, they finally announced that the USF game was being moved up a day. And then there was no other corresponding move, and here we are. So I want to know.
And here we are. And now,
eventually, I'd like to know what happened there. What somebody had to at Houston had to have signed off on it.
No, that's
incoming call from Houston.
That's when Calvin Sampson said we're not going to do that. We're not going to do it. And it was interesting on the Zoom call today, where both Penny Hardaway and Calvin Sampson both agreed that if they were in these similar situations, they would do exactly what happened.
Yep.
Sure. Penny said, if I'm looking after my program, I can't blame Calvin Sampson for doing what he did.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's. I mean, I think everybody's past that as far as pointing fingers at, who, because I don't remember if I said it on you guys' show or not, but if anybody who would be in Kelvin Sampson's shoes would do the exact same thing if they were allowed to. That's the thing is if they're, why wouldn't you ask for a mile if you're given an inch? If you're allowed to, it's up to the conference and the league commissioner and the league administrators to avoid letting the inmates run the asylum.
Yeah,
Sunday, the Tigers and Houston will play locally. I think it will soften the sting if the Tigers win, but Dave makes the very accurate, fair point that it will so throw out a kilter the seeding that you really endanger the competitive balance of next week in Fort Worth. But Sunday, Jason, it's a big one. It's the biggest game in Penny Hardaway's years as head coach. He played in much bigger games as a Tiger than this one. He may be in a bigger game a week from Sunday than this one, but this one coming up it's really big. Give me the score range for the Tigers to win. You hear people say first to, or I think I heard John Harden say first to 65 wins. He and Gabe were discussing. What's your score range for the Tigers to win on Sunday?
That's really, I hadn't heard that, and that seems about right to me.
Can I give you the number that I think was discussed, whether it was yesterday or today that I heard? If Memphis scores 71, they're 13-0. In the losses this year that Houston has sustained, they've given up over 65 points. So that's where that 65 threshold comes in.
Yeah. I mean, I could certainly see it being like a first to 60 even, because I mean these two teams are I mean both these teams are defensive juggernauts. Both these teams. I mean Memphis is second in the country in defensive efficiency, and I think Houston's like fourth or fifth or something like that. I mean they are so evenly matched from a defensive standpoint. And they are so strong defensively that 60 may be the number, 62 somewhere in there. But it's all, you get that close and it's all the same thing. But you know what? Wouldn't it be funny if the two of probably the five best defensive teams in the country go head to head? All this ballyhoo about how great they are defensively, how hard they play, and we end up with like an 85-80 game or something like that.
No way.
That would be the. No, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be funny.
It would be. I think both teams will struggle to score.
Yeah.
I do think there's another piece of the puzzle that Calvin Sampson has now. Fabian White is back. I don't know how effective White has really been. He's played 3 games. But he's a big-bodied guy. It's five more fouls. It's more physicality for Cisse and for Malcolm Dandridge to have to put up with, and so that is really huge. And Penny, I think, when he was asked the biggest key to this game, it was matching physicality. Last year, Boogie Ellis was like a deer in headlights, and the Tigers really weren't prepared for the kind of, especially early in the game, for the kind of physical effort it was going to take. I think this time they'll know. Do you think they can match the Houston physicality?
I do, and I think, these guys are all a year older. Boogie, Lester, Damian Ball. These guards, these big guards, are a year older. Landers Nolly, he's been through some wars, given his background, and Kelvin Sampson really, really seemed to he seems to really be taken by DeAndre Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, he talked a lot today, relatively speaking, about how he just completely changes the complexion of this team, of this Memphis basketball team, and he's right. And so that kind of reading between the lines, that tells me that he thinks that DeAndre is sort of the X factor for Memphis. And I, who am I to disagree with Kelvin Sampson?
Well, he actually reiterated what I had said earlier, and he said, if DeAndre Williams had been eligible to play with this team from the very beginning, there wouldn't be any discussion about bubbles right now. They'd be talking about seeding. And I think he's right on. I don't think you're going to lose both the Western Kentucky and the VCU game if DeAndre Williams is on that team.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so I think what that tells me is that, the fact that he was really emphasizing the importance of DeAndre Williams to this team, that tells me that he has identified him as someone that they have to contain, that they have to really focus, all their attention on. So if that's the case, then to me, that makes people like Moussa Cisse, Malcolm Dandridge, all these other guys, potentially, obviously DJ Jeffries, Lester Quinones, these guys who, they're going to have to take up whatever slack Houston is able to take away from DeAndre Williams. If it does turn out that that's the game plan, then they're going to have to really step up. And I mean, I think they can. Will they? We'll see.
Boogie Ellis has really gained the confidence, and confidence is an amazing thing in athletics, isn't it, Jason?
No doubt about it. And I just was watching that game the other day, not against Cincinnati. It was against USF. It was palpable just how how much difference even a week makes. And then yes, he's hitting shots, but that's to me only part of the story. I mean, he is taking shots confidently. It's not just that he's a streaky guy and he's figured out, he's sort of hit on this hot streak. It's that he's got more of a purpose for what he's doing on the floor now. The shots that he takes are a little bit more measured. Like he's not just throwing up shots. He's thinking about taking good shots and those sorts of things. And I think that's it couldn't have come at a better time for Memphis. That they all obviously need that to continue and probably even be better, frankly, than what he's been these last couple of games. But when you got when he's right and Lester's hitting shots from deep and Landers Nolly's hitting shots from deep, then that's where you've got something. And if they can do it Sunday, I think it can only end up being good things for Memphis.
I think that he's the perfect barometer because he really was the most intimidated player last year when Memphis played Houston. He was like in shock at the intensity level.
Yeah.
And you couldn't ask for a better time for him to come into this game in terms of confidence. He has gotten better looks. The stroke is back. He's a year stronger. And so he and I think Damian Ball, who's going to be pressed into more action than he would be, they are the two barometers to see really how far Memphis has gotten from the beginning of the year. And then if Moussa Cisse and Malcolm Dandridge can play like they did against Cincinnati, I think they got the advantage inside because Fabian White's just back. He's not 100% from an ACL surgery, his fitness level can't be terrific, and they're not a really good team in terms of bulk inside. Now, they got plenty of athleticism. They all can rebound. They're all good athletes. But when you're looking at just that post position, Memphis, with those two guys, if they play the way they did against Cincinnati, I think they've got the advantage there.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up, I want to go back to Damian Baugh for a second. I'm glad you sort of singled him out there a second ago because I don't know about you guys, but he comes across to me, just based on what we've seen his first year plus, as a true gamer. I mean, like, if it weren't for him against Tennessee last year, Memphis loses that game.
Yeah.
I mean, the little things that he does that might not even necessarily show up in the box score when it's crunch time, you know, he's a difference maker in those situations, I think, and I think he's gotten better all season long. He's gotten better. I mean, his biggest thing, and it's been this way since he got here, is he sort of falls in love with the home run play. He'll make one maybe one a game, once a week, something like that. And
how many miss?
Yeah, exactly. There's too many missed opportunities on alley-oops, and there's too many airmail throwaways, non-steal turnovers, all those things. But that's the thing, is like, if he can avoid those things, the non-steal turnovers, then he becomes an even bigger deal. And I don't know. I think that what I've seen out of him these first couple of years is he seems to really sort of, he's an even-keeled guy, and that's the type of guy you need in a game like this, and that could be big. I mean, who knows? Who knows until we see it? But I think he could be a big factor as well.
I'm looking forward to it. I think we're all in agreement here, right? Biggest game of the Penny Hardaway era. I can't
wait.
You can throw that Tennessee game.
Super
in
Bowl
there.
Sunday to me.
Yeah.
I'm much more excited about this than I was the Super Bowl.
Easy, the Penny Hardaway era, easy. I mean, he said earlier today that the Tennessee game last year was sort of a bigger deal to him, but I feel like that was because he won it. If they win Sunday, let's ask him again Monday and see, or let's ask him Sunday afternoon and see if he still feels that way.
Great take. That's right.
All right. What do you think's going to happen? Give me your prognostication here, Jason Munz.
It's a road game. It's a road. It's on the road. It's and Houston's no slouch. I mean, that's they're number 9 in the country for a reason. If I'm putting anything on the line for it, I would have to go Houston. I'd have to say that Houston wins the game. But my heart would not be totally in it if I did that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think that Memphis has not played its best game, and if it does play its best game, even if Houston plays its best game, I think Memphis can win.
I agree with that assessment. Peaking at the right time, and the best game is still in the bag, and they got to pull it out Sunday.
Yep, agree.
Let's hope that is the case, that they show up, and then even if they let's just say they show up, it's a great game. They end up losing by a couple on a last-second shot by Grimes or Giroux or somebody. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to play
most likely.
They're going to play most likely on a neutral the next Saturday in the semifinals, because they've handed the number 1 seed to Wichita State. If they get confidence knowing they can play with them, and then they're going to play on a neutral, then I really like Memphis's chances.
But Dave, in your scenario, Mike Oresco will never be forgiven here. If the Tigers lost at the buzzer Sunday and everybody thought if that had been at FedEx Forum the Tigers would have won, he's never forgiven. He can't do enough. He can't smoke a big enough peace pipe in Memphis.
I think that point may have already arrived, considering the Magnifico call,
Well, it very well could
the
have.
officiating
Yeah.
the year before in the UCF championship game, where most Tiger fans think they did not get one call. That point may have already arrived. Jason, what do you think?
No, it's if it hasn't, it's really close. I mean,
It's pulling in the station.
It hasn't. I don't feel like it's reached like a fever pitch yet. But I do agree with you that I think it's very, very close. And a fever pitch we might get there if under the way you guys.
You know when you're on the DC Metro and is it slowing down at the next stop and the automated voice comes on, and the next stop is LaFont Plaza. Well, if it's the dislike of Mike Oresco, the next stop is Memphis.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree. But I also, not to miss Dave's point earlier, if Memphis somehow loses Sunday and they somehow face off against each other the following Saturday, I agree. I mean, I think Memphis has the advantage. And I don't think the other thing that we're not talking about is if Memphis loses Sunday, I don't think it crushes their bubble hopes. I mean, I still think they're on the bubble and maybe even move up a spot or two if it's a really competitive game, say an overtime game, something like that. But
they'd still be 0 for quad 1 wins. That's the issue. And Wichita State's got 2.
Yeah. No, that's a very, very good point. But I do, again, I agree with you. If Memphis loses Sunday, I think the odds of them winning in the conference tournament go up pretty significantly.
He is Jason Munz. You read him every day in the Commercial Appeal. He's beat the Tigers. Can't wait for Sunday. Can't wait to chat with you. I can't wait to see you, Jason Munz, in Fort Worth. How's that?
Yeah, the feeling is mutual, and yes, I'll be there. So I'm glad to hear that you'll be there.
Yeah, thank you, man. We
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Jason. Really,
right,
really
thanks,
appreciate it.
That is Jason Munz, Commercial Appeal, brought to you in part by Homer. Well, Homer and Genesis of Olive Branch are our title sponsor for this hour for a long, long time. And they have the same crew in place for a long, long time. A lot of stability, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. You want somebody that will be around for a long, long time, taking care of you with a product that lasts for a long, long time. Every new Hyundai, every new Genesis, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Every new car. And because they believe in service, they take it to the nth degree. Every new car gets a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package. Complimentary, free, on the house, because they want to take care of you. That's exactly what they do. They do it with the certified pre-owns. You go see Ray Melton. He's been there for about 40 years. Ray Melton and his crew have the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in Memphis for 14 straight years now in the Genesis cars. They're the talk of the town. We just had Keith Kessinger on yesterday about how he's bought 8 new cars, all Genesis, and they are as good as it gets in the luxury car division. Go see for yourself. Get on Lamar. Get into Mississippi, exit 1, Craft Road, turn left. Go see Chris True and this gang that's been together forever. Let them take care of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. Drew Barrett has spent hours today on provocative, deep, penetrating questions. Heck yeah, hell no, that's next.
Listen online anywhere, anytime at sports56whbq.com.
Hey, we understand. With everything that's happening, with all the new regulations, maybe you're not ready to come and hang out at Sweetgrass to catch a ball game. We want you to, we really do, and we're open for you to do just that. But we're also offering the next best thing, the new Sweetgrass Tailgate Party Packs. Whether it's wings, house-made dips, sliders, or other Sweetgrass tasty treats, all you have to do is call us or go to sweetgrassmemphis.com to order just what you're dreaming of when you're dreaming of watching sports and enjoying some sweet, sweet Sweetgrass.
Make your next grill your last with Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic will not rust, but will provide the best radiant heat, keeping your food crisp on the outside and juicy on the inside. Step your flavor up with 100% natural lumpwood charcoal. Never have to add charcoal or wood during a cook again, and save money by reusing Big Green Egg lumpwood charcoal. Enjoy the versatility of keeping cook temperatures below 200 or above 700 for searing and anywhere in between with ease. The Big Green Egg is ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes. Just ask Big Green Egg users how great the food is. Satisfaction has been our recipe for success since 1974, and our customers are our biggest testament. Come taste the difference with Big Green Egg and make your next grill your last. Available at East Memphis Ace at the corner of South White Station Road and Quince Road.
Don't miss the 20th season of Grizzlies basketball in Memphis. Limited single-game tickets for all second-half games are now on sale. Tickets start at just $12, but they won't last long. Check out grizzlies.com/tickets today.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brett Norsworthy.
Halfway through our Friday, almost at the weekend that the Tigers will play in Houston on Sunday. I'm excited, just like you are. Bigger than the Super Bowl. I'm right with you all the way. And just out of curiosity, both of you guys, you just heard that spot, and we have a new production guy in that is a part of our family here at Sports 56. The spot that was just played about the Grizzlies and the single season tickets, that new voice that we hear. Tell me I'm crazy, but does he not sound like Mark Wise? The first time I heard any spot from him, I had Mark Wise has come to work for us.
Now that you say it, yeah, Joe, yeah, it does.
I can kind of hear it.
Yeah,
I can.
Yeah, sounds a lot like him. Anyway, I know you have worked hard. These will be thought-provoking. We could get stymied. We could stumble. It's called.
We could not be there for you when you risk your 143 bones on
By
Saturday.
the way, have you put that bet down?
Have you locked it in yet?
You have not.
It's not on FanDuel yet. It won't be on there till later tonight or early in the morning.
Are you really going to do that?
I told Brett
there's
that,
hesitancy
so
here.
I'm normally a $10 to $5 gambler. Like, if I'm
Keep
really
it
confident in
fun,
something,
keep it fun.
I go 10. If
I
I'm
like
not,
that.
5.
That's the way I would be.
The highest bet outside of the $50 max on the spread the love bets that they had during college football, where you could take Tennessee plus 125 points.
Well, you're taking 50 on that.
Exactly. Outside of that, the highest bet I've ever made is $15. I told Brett I might go with 20.
There you go. I'm all for that. Just do 20.
But
I won't feel bad when you win.
And you want to keep your cushion to have fun next week for conference tournaments and into March Madness.
And the fights tomorrow.
Very
too.
smart, Drew.
Who you going with on that fight?
Which one?
The main card, I'm definitely going to go with Israel and Nunes on the women's side.
Okay. Israel is the pretty big
Now,
favorite in that fight, right?
Is that boxing or MMA?
That's
UFC.
UFC, MMA.
Okay.
All right. Before any further delay, let's get right into.
Heck yeah. Hell no.
All right.
All right. First question. A little background to the question. While I was doing these earlier today and doing some other work, I had the Magic Moment 30 for 30 on in the background, just to have something on. And while I was watching it, one of the old Magic execs, when they were talking about the 93 draft, with Chris Webber probably being the number 1 overall pick, he made the statement that Anthony Hardaway at the time played for Memphis State and not as well-known program as they are today. So my question is Memphis, the question for a heck yes, hell no, Memphis basketball is more well-known today with Penny as a coach than it was in the 90s with Penny as a player?
So if I say...
If you say yes, it means it's more popular and more well-known now. No, it was then.
You want me to go first there, Mr. Norsworthy?
Go right ahead, but I know my answer.
I know mine too. Hell no. Hey,
Hell no. I don't need to explain anything to Chris Webber. At least I can keep up with timeouts. And the Tiger basketball program was rolling along just fine then, and it rolled very well after that. It only buttressed, it only supported, it only cemented its stature. It was going along fine then. Did Chris Webber not keep up with college basketball? I mean,
it
he was
wasn't
at
Chris
Michigan.
Webber. It was a Magic front office executive.
Was it Pat Williams?
No.
I can't remember.
I promise you it wasn't Pat Williams, because Pat Williams
would know better than that.
He
Yeah.
has a sense of history.
I'm sorry. I went off on Chris Webber. Sorry. I thought you said Chris Webber said it. Well, and I did get the timeout shot in. Sorry.
That was really mean. That was
I apologize.
mean. Okay, good. I'm glad. You know what my wife would say? Take it back. That's what she would say.
Easy to say, hard to prove. I'm sorry. Easiest two words on earth to say.
I think anybody who has a sense of history of the University of Memphis program would know that is an easy hell no. This program goes back to the Win Wilfong era in the 50s when the NIT
mattered
was
more than
bigger
anything
than the NCAA. That's when they made their first splash in the 50s. Yeah. They've had a top 25 team every decade since the 50s. They've been to the Final Four in 73 and 85 and 06. They were a major brand name in college basketball well before Penny Hardaway was born. That one is the easiest of all time. Hell no.
It really is. In Tiger basketball, in that stretch, I mean, in 92, they go to the Elite Eight. In 93, but for a suffocating Western Kentucky defensive stand in Orlando, I guess that executive might have been at that game and saw the Darryl Mee upset of Penny Hardaway and his team in his last college game. But, you know, they had been plenty good in those stretches. I don't know what that person could not have been a basketball person.
Out to lunch.
I kind of thought there might be a little bit more debate about it. I mean, with Penny coming into as the head coach at the University of Memphis, he was on SportsCenter, every other national show, radio, talking to all the smoke. You had James
well, it was
Wiseman,
you two
number
that said
one
it's a
overall
football
pick,
school
number
now,
one
not me.
Penny's coach, by the way, was more famous than Penny when he got here.
That leads me to question two.
But you two in the last year both have said it's a football school now more than basketball. And, Dave, a week ago you were saying Gonzaga, early 21st century, was commensurate with the Tigers.
Well, I think after 2000 they were, or 90, whatever it might be, when
they got a lot of bids because they won that little hocus-pocus league. They didn't do anything. If you would have said that to John Calipari in 2004, he'd have clawed your eyes out.
He agreed to do a home-and-home with them. He loved
because he knew he could beat them. He wasn't scared of them. He knew they weren't their equal.
Let me tell you something. He thought he could beat them, but he wouldn't play in the kennel. That was in the contract. He wouldn't play in the kennel. We played in their convention center because he didn't want to play in that arena. He was scared of the kennel.
Little old hocus-pocus league.
Scared of the kennel. Next.
All right, Dave, you kind of led me into question two. This also sticks with Penny Hardaway and the Memphis basketball program. Obviously, Penny and Larry Finch, 1A, 1B, but I think everybody agrees Larry Finch, it would be 1A for Mr. Memphis basketball. If Penny doesn't win a national championship as a coach, could he still pass Larry Finch?
Well, there's a third person that you're forgetting about that is beloved.
Yes, Keith Lee, but
Keith Lee.
I mean, it's 1A, 1B. Keith Lee solid
it's
would
not
be
to
number
me.
two.
It's not to me. Keith Lee is in a league of his own. Is number one. All-time leading scorer, all-time leading rebounder. I don't know about block shots, but I bet they're way up there. It's not even close to me. I mean, he in 4 years over 3 for Larry Finch and 2 for Penny Hardaway. It's not even close for me.
But also coaching, it's still with the program, so that's what I'm getting at.
That's the beauty of subjectivity. I think it's Larry Finch all the way. And I love Keith Lee. And I think you've really got to talk about all three guys. It's like the Mount Rushmore. There's three guys for sure. They're locks. No doubt about that.
If Larry Finch had that fourth year, he would be the all-time leading scorer. He would be. And if Penny Hardaway had played all 4 years, he would be.
He wouldn't even need 3 years. or fourth year if they had a 3-point line when he shot.
That's true.
He didn't even get the benefit of a third point every time because most of his shots were pretty darn deep. And to this day, because of the vacated 38 victories, he's the number one winningest coach in the history of the school.
Yeah, but we're not vacating wins.
Well, he's the second winningest coach then, even in your book.
I'm telling you, Dave, in the last 2 weeks, you have you're going to be excommunicated from the Cal Club.
I love Cal. They can't excommunicate me.
Yes, they can. Cal will throw you overboard just like he did Bruiser Flint.
He made sure Bruiser Flint got a job. Come on. He made sure.
Well, he'll get you a job. He'll be doing a low-power station in eastern Kentucky. Yeah. I mean, he'll get you a job.
I'm going down to Division III. I can see it coming. Here we go. Next.
You'll be doing Transylvania games in Kentucky, but he'll get you a job.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, next question. With the news that the Washington football team has released Alex Smith, does Alex Smith start in the NFL in 2021?
Hell no. He's not going to play in the NFL next year. He wanted to come back.
He might be the backup to Trevor Lawrence and help his old college coach. Urban Meyer loves him. And Dave, I think you were at the same AutoZone Liberty Bowl practice that I attended over at the Kennedy Complex. And Tommy West that day, and I can't use the language he used, he looked at me, he goes, he goes, you could win as a head coach with this guy at quarterback. And Dan Mullen and Urban Meyer and Alex Smith, they are boy, this is heresy with Gator fans. They are probably a tighter trio than Mullen, Tebow, and Meyer.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that. I think Alex Smith, unfortunately, he came back and he had his moment of glory, and I don't think the Washington football team treated him right, honestly. He got him in position to make the playoffs, for goodness sake. They won that division because of him. I know Heineke came in at the end, and he deserves a chance. I'm all happy that he got it, but I think they sort of did a bit of a disservice to Alex Smith, but I think he kept getting injured for a reason. He was able to come back, but he's older, and his body is just not able to keep up. I don't – he may be a backup. That's a good angle, Brett, but he's certainly not going to be a starter in the National Football League. And like I said, I don't think –
I don't know that I want to see
I'm not
him
sure
play.
that he
Don't chance it.
is even going to be on a team.
Watching him play last year, you would wince every time he was tackled, and not as much just running downfield, but when that pocket gets congested and you're scared of one of those really large men falling into that very compromised leg.
When you start tweaking hamstrings and calf muscles, your body is telling you can't go out there and sprint and get away from people anymore or take hits. That's, to me, it's just father time, Cornbread Maxwell.
What I'm really scared of?
What?
Yeah, he's right. You know what I'm really scared of for Alex Smith, and we saw it. I'm scared of this, and he's got to be, and he's got the best doctors in the world attending to him. But after Dave Dravecki had the very ugly arm injury where the bone broke, and it is the humerus. It's the long bone from shoulder to elbow, right? Mm-hmm. That's the humerus.
I think so.
And it gets close to the funny bone, thus the term. But and then later, it was so badly compromised and injured in the surgeries, he lost that arm. He lost. I just hope Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Just stop now. You did it, and I don't want to see. I don't want to see him hurt him.
I don't think he's in that kind of jeopardy, or I don't think they would have let him play. He almost lost that leg to begin
That's true.
with.
You're probably right.
They fixed all those veins and all the arteries that connect correctly, and the blood flow is good. So I don't think that is the case. I always worry about those kinds of things, that you're going to get some kind of blood clots because of all the blood thinning you used, and then you went back. That's what I'm more worried about, would be a clot that would go to your lung or to your brain and give you a stroke. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that
Isn't that how the running back at Mississippi State, isn't that how Kiefer McGee died? He broke his leg, and it was a blood clot issue?
I know this.
Back in the 90s, I think so.
I've known two people in my life that passed away after they had compound fractures. One was waiting for surgery. It was our old engineer, and he was waiting, and they had actually given him a little bit of anesthesia for surgery, and a clot went to his heart, I think, and gave him a heart attack. And then another one this year, the same sort of thing. That's what you worry about with those kinds of fractures.
Yeah, there's no such
and obviously,
thing as routine injury.
We are not doctors. We're sitting here speculating on
that's
what
what I
think we
fear.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, my nephew played high school football with a nice kid that in a hunting accident, he accidentally shot himself. And they get the medical personnel there and everything's going to be fine. He gave the thumbs up to people that I'm fine and passed from a blood clot.
Yeah. All right, let's get one more in before we take our final
All right,
out this hour.
I've got three,
You want us-
but
All right, tell you what.
I can save them. I can save them. They're not time consuming. The others,
Okay.
So they
All right.
can go
Throw it
later
out.
on. All right, last one. The NBA will change the logo before the start of the 21-22 season.
Heck yeah. And it's time. And Kyrie Irving, he's leading the march, and it's past time. A new age is dawn.
I think, heck yeah, because I think that's the politically correct thing that we're looking at doing. And, Kobe was a great player, and Jerry West has been there forever. So, maybe it's time. Personally, I would have liked to seen that thing stay in place until, Jerry passed away, because that was an honor. He deserved that honor. He helped to grow the league. I mean, if we're really looking to change the logo, wouldn't you look at the two guys that really changed the league and brought it to the level they are now?
Why was it him? Why was it Jerry West in the day? Why wasn't it Kareem's skyhook?
I don't know.
Why wasn't it a John Havlicek silhouette?
That's a great question. I don't know. Because he was a star,
Jerry West?
but not the star. That's a really
He was
valid
not.
point. But if we're and I'm not trying to poo-poo anything with Kobe, but I'm just asking this question. It was Larry Bird and Magic Johnson that brought the league to the popularity they're in now. Prior to those two, the NBA championship was on tape delay. So those are the two guys that really ushered in a new era and this popularity that has made it a major league. I'm just throwing that out there. Not that I have anything against Kobe being it, but if you're really looking for historic connotation, that's your two right there.
And as far as a champion, as a world champion, championship rings as a player, Jerry West had one.
Yeah, that's right.
Just off a quick Google search, I found why he was chosen to be the logo, and it was basically because the artist who was tasked of making the logo looked through a bunch of different photos and liked that picture of Jerry West the most.
And he's left-handed. So the way the positioning is, it made it look better on that logo because of him being a
Jerry
left-handed.
West shot the ball right-handed.
I could have sworn I read somewhere that it was because he had when he's dribbling, it was in his
Gail
left hand.
Goodrich was a left-hander on that team.
Yeah. Double check to see if you could see something about the positioning of the ball and left-handed.
In the article, it just says the artist found the picture of Jerry West, which is what he used as the base of the logo. He was attracted to it because of the nice and vertical of him leaning and dribbling. He just liked that it was straight up and it was kind of all compacted, basically.
Okay. Maybe he was dribbling with his left hand at that point. I'm not 100% certain. I do know this. This portion of the show brought to you by Conway. Is your home's main sewer line ever getting backed up? Do you have multiple plumbing fixtures in your home backing up? This is what happens in the spring. Tree roots start growing. Many of them find their way into your sewer line. Better call the rooter experts at Conway for a $99 main drain opening special. They go in, they clean it out, and if it happens again, they'll come back out and clean it up again. They open up your home's main drain for $99, and they make sure it stays open all year long. They inspect your main sewer line by using their state-of-the-art Rooter Vision camera system. Then they clean it all out, and it's good for a year. for $99. Trust the Root experts at Conway Services for all your drain and sewer needs. Just call 384-3511. That's 384-3511. Your Mid-South Premier Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, Electric, and now your neighborhood Rooter experts. Back with a wrap of this second hour on Friday on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Get your fill of sports for lunch every weekday on Sports 56 middays with Greg and Eli. The latest sports talk, sought after guests, your calls and texts, prize giveaways, and more every weekday from 10 to 1 on Sports 56.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
2021 is finally here. Might I suggest we start the wonderful new year with a makeover for your beautiful house. I'm Brian Elder. I'm a roofer. I fix roofs. Don't let them tell you that it has to be replaced when all it may need is some love. 867-0303. Let me love on your roof. I've made quite the reputation over the last decade as the guy to call after the insurance company denies the claim. Overturning a claim that has gone bad is an art form where you argue county code, manufacturer specs, and details of your policy that they have to abide by. So let me see it first. If I say it's a claim, it's a claim. 867-0303. Money is free at Brian Elder Roofing with 0% financing for half a decade. I'll measure your roof from outer space and get you a quote right over the phone. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Frontier Western Store in Olive Branch is ready for spring. Stop by the store today and you'll find a wide assortment of goods. There's tons of Carhartt jeans, shirts, caps, and beanies, as well as this year's brand new spring line. Also, have you checked out Frontier Women's Boutique lately? It's loaded with new styles and colors and current trends of tops, tunics, skirts, and dresses. New arrivals every day. Mini shirts are just $14.99, available small to 3X. While you're there, browse Frontier's world-famous boot showroom. Shop thousands of boots that are in stock, ready to try on and take home. Shop at a local store with excellent local service. With their extensive selection of dress and work boots, you're sure to find your next favorite pair. Frontier receives new styles and restocks daily from all the largest boot makers. Dan Post, Durango, Rocky, Ariat, and many more. Available in men's, women's, or children's. Outfit the entire family. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
Need to sell your home? You're in luck because I buy houses. All you have to do is call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pin, 901-406-1101, or just save it in your phone. Bill at I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses buys houses in any area, in any condition, at any time. As simple as that. I Buy Houses is guaranteed to close in 5 days. So if you need your cash fast, just call Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. Has your house been on the market? Were you just tired of renters? Or is it just time to start over? Well, avoid repairing, cleaning, painting, and prepping your house. Just pick up the phone and call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses. If you're in Southwind, South Memphis, North Mississippi, North Memphis, Collierville, if you can hear this, just call my friend Bill at I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101.
This is a job alert. If you're looking for work, this will interest you. Whether you're looking for full-time, part-time, or even something temporary if you've been recently furloughed, text 107-JOB to 49330. That's 107-JOB to 49330. Office work available now in a clean office environment with all COVID precautions taken. Text 107-JOB to 49330 and someone will be in touch about these job opportunities available now. Text 107-JOB to 49330.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Welcome back in. Final segment, hour number 2. At the top of the hour, we'll talk NBA. The halfway mark, Andy Schiffman, rising stars. Blake Griffin's now been bought out. He can go, and there's a bunch of teams that are interested in him, including Brooklyn, Golden State, Miami, and Portland.
Clippers, his old team.
And the Clippers.
are interested.
I didn't see the Clippers in there, but that could very well be. So it'll be interesting.
How much do you think he's got left in the tank?
How old is he? He's been in the league, 10 years? Has he been in the league that long?
Came through here in 2009 with OU in the NCAA tournament at FedEx Forum. So
12 years.
12 plus 21, or so.
Yeah. Wow, 12 years. So that makes him in his early 30s.
31.
31.
He turns 32 in 11 days.
And I think he still has some vertical in him. I think he's good for 2 or 3 more years.
Trickiest injury in sports.
Yeah, it is. I agree. That part is tricky, but we'll see exactly what Andy Shippen thinks about all that. What are you making of this story that is now coming over? That LSU had actually recommended in 2013 that Les Miles be fired as their coach because of his behavior with female student workers. The 148-page review of how the university has handled sexual misconduct complaints has come out. Then Director A.D. Joe Oliva's recommendation to President F. King Alexander is detailed in a report made public Friday. The report offers a scathing view of the resources and attention LSU has dedicated to complaints campus-wide and has also resulted in the suspensions of 2 senior athletic officials. What do you think
Very
went wrong
senior.
there?
Well, the cover-up. And
the good old boy
Les Miles fell very victim to a public persona that he hatched, that he started laughing at his own jokes, and then he very much tried to be in character all the time in the public persona. In the private persona, sounds like he was just a really nasty guy, and it's going to get him. But LSU's trying to deflect. It's all Joe Oliva and it's all Les Miles right now.
Right.
No. It's current, and that's what's going to get them in trouble is what's going on currently with the new AD and with Ed Orgeron and with Will Wade and upper athletics department people. It's going to be one brutal summer on LSU football because guess what? All the blue check marks that spent all last summer trying to kill college football, what they're going to do this summer. They're going to try to kill LSU.
And then don't forget the IARP stuff that is still going to come for LSU and for Memphis, for that matter, along with Arizona and along with Bill Self and Kansas. There's still, I think, a lot of stuff that is coming those schools' ways that we don't know quite about it. So LSU is on the hot seat on a couple of different fronts. This portion of the show brought to you by my newest favorite thing going, and that is Tiger Tail from Grind City Brewing. This is the official craft beer of the University of Memphis. First of all, if you haven't been to Grind City Brewing yet in Uptown, you got to go check it out. It's a great place to go have a cold one that's Memphis made, ladies and gentlemen. And Tiger Tail is now, by the way, in Kroger. You can get it at the brewery. You can get it in spirit shops, but you can now find it in Kroger. It has become that popular. It is not your typical malt liquor. I can tell you that for sure. It is crafted with a bold and a smooth flavor. It comes in 16-ounce six-packs. It's got 7.5% alcohol, and it's got this clean finish, which makes it so incredibly easy drinking. I promise you'll love it. Tell them we sent you. Tiger Tail and Grind City Brewing, taking care of beerness in Memphis. Back in a minute, NBA and Andy Schiffman, they come front and center. Don't go anywhere.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Ben Swinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 125 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Ben Swinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. 2 Memphis locations, one in Midtown, on Hollywood Street across from the Liberty Bowl, and one in Cordova, off Germantown Parkway next to the Fox and Hound. Visit their website, benswingerglass.com. Ben Swinger Glass.
The winter collection sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Your one and only Lexus dealership in Memphis. This great winter collection sales event has super special financing offers featuring the flagship LS500 and Lexus named the #1 certified pre-owned program in the industry for the 4th straight year by U.S. News and World Report. The winter collection sale now until March at Lexus of Memphis. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Hi, this is Rob Brown. Join us every Saturday morning on Sports 56 WHBQ from 8 to 10 a.m. and 96.1 FM and the new FM 98.5. We'll be covering the Memphis Tigers, the SEC, college football, college basketball, college baseball. We'll look into recruiting. We'll have guests from around the country with the latest news, the most knowledgeable people out there, the coaches, the players, the people who play the games. Don't forget to join us on the sidelines. Sports 56, 96.1, and the new FM 98.5.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, W253DF Memphis, and WIVG Tunica Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
1 hour to go in the week, and then a lot of basketball this weekend, including the NBA All-Star festivities. We talk with Andy Schiffman every Friday about that. But first, let me tell you about our friends at DeSoto Auto Sales that bring you this hour. They are at 5704 Goodman Road. Come on down to DeSoto County, where they are very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. All their cars test-driven, all checked out thoroughly from bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll go find it for you. They'll treat you like family by kind, courteous employees. They know we live in a world today that time really matters, and they want to keep it simple and want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You find the car you want, test drive that car, get credit approved, and you're gone in 45 minutes or less at DeSoto Auto Sales. Check out all the referrals and all the many pleased customers at DeSotoAutoSales.com. In DeSoto County on Goodman Road, phone number 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County, to DeSoto Auto Sales for that town and country experience.
We are at the halfway point of the NBA season. Our agent in Chicago is Andy Schiffman. We'll talk about the good surprises, maybe the ones that are not so good this year. But I wanted to start with you, Andy, with the rising stars. Brandon Clark, your client. He made it. Ja made it again. So did Precious Achiuwa and James Wiseman. So that's really great. There's a connection, a Memphis connection with 4 of those that make it. With no game this year, just making that roster, does that trigger clauses in contracts for bonuses?
So because there's no game, Dave, there unfortunately are no bonuses. And I had to break that to Brandon the other day. Now, that's just through the NBA. A lot of these players will have shoe contracts or endorsement deals that will allow for similar bonuses. However, it all depends on the wording. If being named to the Rising Stars game is the wording, then technically that was achieved. Other times, if you maybe have a Nike deal or an Adidas deal that just says participating in the game, but there is no game, then it's a gray area. So it just is really up to the discretion of each company that has an agreement in place with the player. But generally speaking, these players are eligible for bonuses if they do participate in these games.
you see Brandon Clark really becoming one of the centerpieces for a young Memphis Grizzlies team. You know, their advertising pitch is next gen, and at the halfway mark, 500, and all those young pieces, and a big young piece in Jaren Jackson. We hope to see in the second half. Is this at least get in the 7 through 10 go far it year for the Grizzlies, Andy?
Well, again, I think that's the next step in this progression, right? I think they overachieved last year, and they had a chance at making the playoffs when they were invited to the bubble in Orlando before Jaren went down with injury last year. If he did not, I do firmly believe they would have solidified a playoff spot. And so you're exactly right. I do think that next step is making the playoffs. And with the new format, I think is absolutely achievable. But you just need a healthy Grizzlies team. You've seen what Justice Winslow now can bring to the table when he's back and healthy. It's been fun to watch. Hopefully he gets Jaren back at some point before the playoffs. Continue to work him in. You're going to get productivity off the bench from a guy like Brandon or Desmond Bain, a rookie. You're going to get productivity from Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen, Valanciunas, and all these guys. You just need consistency and healthy bodies. But look, it's going to be a really, really exciting second half of the season. And I've been saying this since the start of the season, and you continue to see it, especially in a game last night where the Grizzlies lost to Milwaukee down the stretch. All these games are so very competitive. There is so much parity in the NBA this year, whereas a year or two ago, Milwaukee would have come into Memphis and probably won by about 30 points. And now, on any given night, you see what the Washington Wizards are doing. They just beat the Clippers at home. Because these teams will have superstars be sitting out due to injuries or COVID protocols, it's any game now. It's every game's up for grabs, I would say, at this point.
Although the Grizzlies are the exact opposite. Last night broke an 18-game winning streak, an 18-game streak, longest in the history of the league, we are told, where the games that were decided win or lose were decided by a margin of 9 points or more. That's the first close game Memphis has had in almost a month.
Wow, I did not know that. That is interesting to know. And obviously, unfortunately, there's also been some losses in there.
Yeah.
So you'd rather that streak be all winning by at least 9 points or more. But that's an interesting stat. I was unaware of that.
It is crazy. I was wondering when you're saying about putting this team together, how is the Grizzlies? It's not transparent to us anyway. It may be to you guys, and I'd like them to be a little more transparent, but I guess I cannot complain with the way Winslow has come, and they were very, very slow, very, very patient. They're probably doing the same exact thing with Jaren Jackson Jr. Now it looks like Winslow is good for the rest of the year and hopefully the rest of his career because he looks like a guy who's rusty but looks completely healthy, moving both ends of the floor beautifully, no issues. As an agent, from your perspective, are the Grizzlies doing this thing, as I guess they are, the exact right way?
No, I do think they are. And there's new rules out there in the NBA now that they've handed down and they've imposed on teams in terms of how to articulate and communicate reasons for players sitting out and descriptions of injuries. And the whole notion is now you may have a team like the Grizzlies that will just need to continue to rest a player like Jaren Jackson until they firmly believe he's fully cleared. However, you can't come out now in the media or to your fans and say the reason Jaren's not playing tonight is due to rest. So you have to have some sort of legitimate reason tied into an injury. On the flip side, the player may be fully healthy and ready to go. Truth is, he just needs to get his game shape back and conditioning down, and rest will help with that for sure. So it's a bit tricky. A lot of it is handed down by the league in terms of how they mandate teams communicate reasons for limited opportunities for players or if they're sitting out. And these teams like the Grizzlies are at the league's mercy because of that. So I think they're doing everything they can. I think they've done everything the right way. Obviously, I know a lot of fans were itching to see Justice Winslow back sooner. But again, the thing you have to remember is, as a fan, and I think sometimes this gets lost in seeing how these players come back from injury, they just assume all of a sudden they're healthy, they're going to start playing. There could be weeks at times where players are working their way back into practice slowly once they're cleared before they even actually play a game. And that is extremely normal and routine in professional basketball and professional sports, as I understand it, among other sports. And so fans have to be patient when they want to see a player like Jaren Jackson returning or Justice Winslow. They may be healthy and cleared, but there's a whole other aspect and dynamic of getting into game shape, because going out there, going through an hour and a half practice where you're just going to go through shooting drills and defensive drills and reps with constant water breaks and stops in between, listening to your coaches talk, is vastly different than going out there and expected to play 20 to 30 minutes in a 5-on-5 full contact basketball game.
Andy, I never thought the Justice Winslow deal was ever even approaching the Chandler Parsons deal. Never compared it to that, never thought it was that at all. I do think the front office, that they were a little, it appeared they were a little sensitive to maybe that sticking to them a little bit. It wasn't even close. Here's one that, and I'm not trying to find something wrong with them. I'm not. But I do think they should be held to account, if for no other reason, the public monies involved in the construction of and the remodeling of FedEx Forum. That is more than just a building. That's a lot of taxpayers' hard-earned money involved in that. And the next one for me, though, is now the Dillon Brooks deal. We've got about 13 months since the deal, and that's not looking like that was that sharp of a deal now.
You mean just the signing of Dillon?
The extension and the money, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really at liberty to give an opinion in terms of whether that's a good deal or not, just because I'm on the player representation side. So I'd probably refrain from offering my thoughts on whether that's a good deal or not. Obviously, he's had some big moments for the Grizzlies, but in terms of, hey, is that a player-friendly deal, or are the Grizzlies really getting something in return? I better bite my tongue on that one and just keep my mouth shut.
Well, I think that with Dillon Brooks, you're gonna get 50-50. You're gonna see some like Brett that think, well, he's overpaid. You're going to see some that are going to go, well, the guy comes to play every night. He's trying to play hard on both sides of the floor. Some nights he hits some really big shots. He's got the courage, at least, to take the big shots. And in today's NBA,
he's fearless. He lets it fly.
In today's NBA, that goes a long, long way. And I'm not sure that contract is way out of line with a player of his abilities. Can you comment at least on that?
Yeah, but mine's more meritorious.
Yeah, and I think just I'll comment on this, and you've seen this before with the Grizzlies. You saw this in the Tyus Jones signing. Teams are always paying a premium to retain their own player if they like him, because they have the flexibility to, if they've been with them there's certain rules in the collective bargaining agreement that allow each team's home team, the teams that player was playing for, to be able to offer more money and more incremental raises from year to year under the life of the contract. And so teams have that ability to. But again, if you've got a player like Dillon, who was drafted by the Grizzlies in the second round back in 2017, and you believe in him and you have put a lot of developmental work into him, and you are committed and invested to him as a player, oftentimes you will see a team pay, and I'm not saying the Grizzlies did this, but generally speaking, teams will pay a premium to retain a player, because otherwise what's going to happen? You lose him to free agency, and then potentially he could go out there and come back to haunt you if he really sticks with another team and blows up, and that happens a lot in this league. And so people and critics and fans and media will always comment and critique all these free agent signings and extension signings, but it's pretty common that extensions are somewhat on the higher end of maybe a player's market value, just because their teams know they have to pay that. Otherwise, they don't want to risk losing them to free agency or having to try and work through a trade to get something back in return that could be of complete lesser value for that player.
I'd explain this to me. Blake Griffin was bought out by the Pistons. He was owed $32.9 million this year and $36 million next year. He is apparently negotiating with Brooklyn, Golden State, Miami, and Portland. Could be the Clippers, because I think Brett heard the Clippers. I know the story I read had those four teams Brooklyn, Golden State, Miami, and Portland, all teams that should make the playoffs. How does this work? Is he guaranteed that $36 million next year that these teams are going to have to come up with, or did he negotiate totally out of any kind of money that Detroit still owes him?
So he's got this year and next year on his contract, and when you reach a buyout, you basically, not every situation is different. It's all up to negotiation with the team, but in this case, you can agree to give up some money, which Blake did in this instance. Like you mentioned, Dave, he gave up around $13 million in exchange to get bought out. So he's going to still receive all of that guaranteed money that's left on his deal. And then in turn, giving up that money, he will have the ability to go and sign a new deal with a new team. Now, generally speaking, when a player is bought out of such a large contract like this, again, generally speaking, and due to the fact that a lot of these playoff level teams like Blake is going to target, that is a big reason why he wanted to leave to go join a team that's going to compete for a championship. These teams are significantly restricted financially. Generally speaking, they're only going to go play for a minimum or close to it. Now, in this case, if you've got multiple suitors, then you may have to be able to find creative ways to come up with money over the minimum to offer a player like Blake. But in this instance, money is not going to be the ultimate factor for Blake in choosing where he goes. He's still getting this money from the Pistons. He'll go and take a small contract and a small deal from another team, but he will hopefully achieve his goal of going to a team that's going to be in a position to compete for a championship. And right now, it seems that out of those teams you mentioned, Brooklyn is the front runner. And look, they lost Jared Allen in the trade for Harden. It absolutely makes sense. It makes sense as a landing spot for Blake. And so I do believe he'll end up in Brooklyn as of today.
Interesting. That just makes them even that much more formidable. And it's, yeah, we've talked about it. I mean, they've got July circled as parade time, go for it time. There's no waiting anymore.
Absolutely.
Does that make them
They're
the favorite
going all
in the East? Do you think if they get Blake Griffin, and then obviously everybody else stays healthy for the rest of the year, do you think they're the odds-on favorite to win the East?
Here's what I say. I say yes, but I even say yes before Blake's addition. Obviously, adding Blake is going to help, namely with a team like the 76ers. He can help give you more size up front when you're facing a player like Joel Embiid. Blake is versatile. He can stick with Embiid on the perimeter. I mean, I might be able to stick with Embiid on the perimeter just in terms of foot speed. He's three times the size of me. But I absolutely love Brooklyn when they're fully healthy. That's the caveat for me. You need a fully healthy Kevin Durant. I don't think there's anyone like him in the league. I would put Brooklyn over Milwaukee. I would put Brooklyn probably slightly ahead of Philadelphia, although what Joel Embiid is doing this season is just ridiculous. For a guy of that size to be able to do what he's doing every single night. I watch a lot of their games. I watched the Utah game the other night when they were dead in the water and they came back to win in overtime. He is, for my money, he's probably the front runner for MVP. And it's not to take anything away from a guy like LeBron or James Harden, but Joel Embiid is carrying the 76ers, and that's what you want to see in an MVP. Ben Simmons is a very good player. They have other very good players, Tobias Harris. No one on the level of Joel Embiid. And on the flip side, when you look at, and I know I completely turned this conversation into an MVP conversation now,
right,
but you look at a player like Anthony Davis with the Lakers, it's a little bit tricky, right? Because everyone sits there and earmarks LeBron as the front runner for an MVP, but now all of a sudden they're playing so many games without Anthony Davis, and you see how they're struggling a bit. It's almost, is Anthony Davis the real MVP of that team, or both of them together on that team? Because I don't think they can sustain a championship run without both LeBron and AD healthy. I just don't think they have any chance, even if they have one of those guys. But with Philly, at least in the East, Embiid is carrying them, but I just still think they're as good as he is. And I would still probably lean towards him as my MVP this year. For a team to come out of the East, I would pick Brooklyn if you've got a healthy KD, Kyrie, and Harden with or without Blake Griffin.
Pick the West winner.
Andy, I know it's possible. Go ahead. Pick the West, and then I'll ask you one more East question. Pick the West.
I mean, I'm going to go with the Lakers. And again, I say the same thing. If you're assuming LeBron and AD are healthy, I think if you've got a healthy LeBron and AD, they can beat Utah. They can beat Denver. I love Utah. I love the way they play. I don't know if they have enough firepower to win multiple game series against a healthy LA Lakers team and a healthy LA Clippers team for that matter.
Well, it'll be fun. All right, back to in the East. I know it's possible, but give me the probability. Doc Rivers there in Philadelphia, getting great basketball out of Joel Embiid, as you talked about. Would he want to go after Blake Griffin, if nothing else, a blocking mechanism, just to shelve him? Could they afford to get him as serviceable backup 6th, 7th man and not to have to deal with him against a team to punch a ticket to the NBA Finals with Brooklyn?
That is a possibility, and they could definitely do that. But if you're Blake Griffin, as good as you are, and you're going to have multiple opportunities, at the end of the day, you're still going to pick a team where you're going to be needed and valuable, maybe like Brooklyn. Even if it's a little more money, which, again, like we've talked about, none of these teams really have tons to offer them. I believe they're all over the salary cap, and they've used the majority of their mid-level exceptions, and in some cases are right up against the tax, so they really have less money. And now at this point in the season, it even dwindles down even more. So even with that being said, I still think, again, if you have options, if you're Blake Griffin, I would choose a team like Brooklyn over Philadelphia.
I would go where I think I could play, and if I believe in myself enough, I can make the difference to take them over Philadelphia.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, right now, Brooklyn in their front court, you've got DeAndre Jordan. I think Blake is so much more versatile offensively than Jordan. I can play on the perimeter where really Jordan can't do a whole lot of that. You got Nick Claxton, who's a nice young big, but he's not sustainable to match up against some of these NBA superstars. I mean, that's really it for their main front court players. And Durant can do everything, but right now you don't have Durant healthy.
What do you think is the reason for the inconsistencies with Milwaukee? And last night they got a good game out of Drew Holiday. That went a long way.
Yep.
Everything seems to be on Giannis. There's just not enough other folks down the stretch for that team, it seems to me.
Yeah, it was disappointing. Look, they added Drew Holiday. They made that great trade. I know Giannis is very happy. That's why he signed the extension and stay in Milwaukee, did the offseason. And they were really rolling at the beginning of the year. I know Giannis missed a few games. I'm just, I don't really think it's anything, quite honestly, that Milwaukee did or didn't. Maybe it was more they didn't do versus they did. I just think they added Drew Holiday, which is a great addition for them. But then you look around the East, you've got a healthy Joel Embiid now. They're getting a lot out of Shake Milton, which is probably unexpected. You've seen what Brooklyn is doing. I just think you've got other teams that are just that much better. I don't really think there's nothing that Milwaukee did or didn't do. I still believe in Coach Bud as a great coach. Maybe the defense has just sort of figured Giannis out a little bit. I know a lot of games I watched. Giannis tries so hard to show everyone that he can sit there and shoot threes, and that's just unnecessary if you're Giannis. Just stick to what your bread and butter is, which is what all these other teams are doing. I just think the competition has continued to increase, and hate to say it if you're a Bucks fan, but these teams like Philly and Brooklyn, they've surpassed Milwaukee a little bit. And look, this is here on March 5th at the All-Star break. We don't know what's going to happen second half of the season. Injuries happen. Obviously, everyone's out half the time with COVID, it seems like, in the COVID protocols, and that could change the whole dynamic and landscape of the NBA for the rest of the season. We just don't know. But you look at Milwaukee, you look at Boston. They're both very, very good teams and still going to be playoff teams competing for an Eastern Conference championship. But with the additions Brooklyn made and the emergence of Joel Embiid as this every single night MVP type of player, I think they're just too strong. But again, you think about what's going to happen over a 5-game series or a 7-game series, like I talked about, that parity, right? It's anybody's game when you get into these playoff series.
It just feels like Milwaukee may have missed their window.
Yeah, that could be the case. I'm not ready to count them out completely, put it that way. I'm not. Maybe they missed their window, and all of a sudden you've got a team like Brooklyn that has created its own window by putting together this three-headed monster.
And
Milwaukee
Philly
really never did that.
And Philly finally coming together, making a coaching change that might help them. All of those things, I think, are conspiring.
And I'll tell you what's crazy, and I never thought I would say it, but you got a team like the New York Knicks now, winning record, 5th in the East. They're getting extreme productivity every single night now, it seems like, from Julius Randle. R.J. Barrett's turned into a really nice player for them. They're getting a lot out of Nerlens Noel, who was at one point almost out of the league. They've got Emmanuel Quickley, Obi Toppin, good rookies. They've got Elfrid Payton. Julius Randle, though, I'll tell you, he is surprising me in carrying that team. And I'm not going to sit there and say that the Knicks are going to compete for an Eastern Conference championship. By no means am I saying that. But I think they've surprised a lot of people. They've surprised me. They've won some games. They probably had no business winning a year ago with this same group. So to their credit, they're playing really well as well. And I think they could be right now they're in the playoffs, and I don't see any reason that's going to change in the next couple months of the season.
All right, last thing for our agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman, halfway point here. You've already gone over coaches of the year, players of the year, rookie of the year. We've done a lot of that as we've gone on. I want you to give me your letter grade for the Grizzlies first half, 500, 16-16.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I would say I would give them a C plus, to be honest. C plus.
I was B plus. Brett was A. You're going
go
C plus. Wow.
Look, I say C plus just because I don't know. I don't know if they're good enough with this team they have right now, Dave, to really make that next jump to get into the Final Four playoff spots here and and to really put themselves in a position to win a playoff series. And I'll be a little more generous. I'll say B minus.
Okay.
So I got my guy Brandon there. We've got a lot of players in the Grizzlies, so I'm going to be a little more generous and say B minus again. With the healthy Jaren Jackson, I'd love to see Josh shooting the ball better from three. When you have other names stepping up on a nightly basis along with Ja, then I'd be more inclined to be more generous and just more encouraged about what I expect from them the rest of this season. But right now, you've got the Grizzlies sitting at 16-16 in the 10th spot. I have no reason to believe that couldn't be OKC's spot or New Orleans' spot, and the roles could be reversed a little bit for these last couple of months of the season. I also don't really have any reason to believe that they're going to overtake a Dallas, San Antonio, Denver, or Portland and just climb up the rankings in the West if they don't really have healthy bodies and a full roster.
That's fair enough. The reason I give them a B plus is because really, other than 5 games or 4 games, whatever it is, they didn't have Winslow. They didn't have Jaren Jackson Jr. the whole time. They didn't have Ja for a couple of weeks, and yet they're 500. So that's the reason for my grade.
That's a fair point.
Remind me to never sign up for a class from Professor Schiffman.
He's tough.
That's right.
He is absolutely tough. My friend, thank you. Enjoy the
thank you, Andy.
Enjoy the halfway mark here, the little break, and we'll get right back into it next Friday.
Not much of a break for me, but sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We appreciate you. We really do. That is our agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman, brought to you in part by Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, Genesis of Olive Branch, where you can pick up these incredible luxury cars. Genesis, everybody who's ever bought one that's owned other brands, not putting down the other brands, but when you look at price and what you get, everybody will tell you you can't beat Genesis, whether it's a G70, a G80, a G90, the new SUV. Look at the technology in that SUV. People are raving. And I know it's a negative. Thank goodness he's alive. But 10 airbags in that SUV that went off that helped save Tiger Woods' life. This is new technology, and it is really moderately priced for a luxury car. You've got to go demo this brand new GV80. They keep a demo on the lot the whole time. Go see my friends. They've been together for 13 years, most of them. They all know how good the product is, and then they want to live up to that product by giving you service. Every new car is durable, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty on every new Hyundai and on every new Genesis car, and then every new car gets a 3-year, 36,000-mile maintenance package because they want to take care of you. Get on Lamar, go see Chris True, first exit in Mississippi, 10 minutes away, Craft Road. Turn left and you'll see the new standard for the way car business should be done when you go see my friends at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. The first of the real worries in postseason has just hit. We'll tell you about that when we come back.
Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and Anthony Zane. Weekday mornings from 7 till 10 on Sports 56, 98.5 and 96.1.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. You've heard me talk about how we offer the best products, the best warranties, and the best services for years. Now let's talk about pricing. Pricing should never be the only reason you hire a contractor, but in today's world, pricing is always a consideration. So we suggest you get 2 or 3 estimates for your roof replacement from a reputable, licensed, and insured company, and then give us a call. If we can't beat your best price for a comparable roof system by more than $100, we'll give you $100. It's that simple. We are so sure we can offer you the best price, beating all other qualified companies. We will hand you $100 if we can't, and thank you for the opportunity. So give us a call. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? Make $100? Fiveash Roof Services, a proud supporter of Tiger Athletics and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Fiveash Roof Services, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
If ever there was a time for comfort food, this is it. And there's no comfort food like Sunrise on Jefferson. Fresh-made breakfast featuring Sunrise's signature homemade square biscuits or the huge selection of hot, fresh, and fast lunch items are all part of what has always made Sunrise the most comforting of comfort foods in Memphis. Of course, everything that can be done to keep you and the staff safe at Sunrise is a top priority. And you can always order ahead and get delicious Sunrise to go. At a time this confusing, it's good to know there's one thing you can count on: Sunrise.
Hey, I heard that you just got a new car.
Yes, I sure did, and I could not believe how simple it was.
Really? Tell me what happened.
I bought my car at Cars Inc. They are family owned, and the choices of cars were the best I've ever seen. They even said they could price match with anyone and help me with whatever financing I needed.
Wow, it does sound like they know what they are doing.
Their family has been in the car business for over 30 years, and they're excited about being in Memphis.
Where are they?
5095 Cummington Way, and their phone number is 901-623-7180.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wallo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Welcome back in as we cruise through our final hour of the week. The Missouri Valley Conference Tournament, Arch Madness, was going along quite well, thank you. In St. Louis, the Loyola Ramblers unfortunately beat the heck out of my Southern Illinois Salukis today, 73-49. That was the second game of the day. The third game was getting set to start. Out came the favorites, Drake. They were starting to warm up, and they were starting to warm up, and then they were starting to warm up, and there was no Northern Iowa. No Northern Iowa. What's happened? Where's Northern Iowa? Northern Iowa never came out. They've got an issue, according to Jeff Goodman, with COVID. And so it looks like that game won't occur. Everybody's now going to get, I'm sure, incredibly tested. Teams that left the arena already, that were winners, the others are on their way home. I'm sure they'll get tested for state of mind relief.
Yeah.
Drake that came out will get tested, but they're going to win this game.
Wow.
They will get this game for sure. All the officials, those that, a lot of these officials, they do a game and then they go to the next conference championship. They all got to get retested. By the way, I know this for a fact. Every referee has to get on site. I think it's 4 hours before the game now, in order to get tested so they get rapid tests back. So if you've got a game at say 6 o'clock, you've got to get to the arena by 2 to get tested before your game. So this is an issue for everybody.
We knew this was going to happen, though, didn't we? You think how far and what next week? Next week is a big week in world history, and for sure in the United States and for sports, because we know what it marks. I told Drew the other day, you stepped away to start doing the Tiger work. In many regards, like a lot of things, it feels like it sped by, and in many ways it feels like it was one of the most lumbering years ever. But think about last year, what that would have caused, what happened at the Valley today, what that would have caused last year.
Well, that would have been the end of it. I mean, that's in essence what occurred, right? I mean,
that's what occurred. That's right.
What occurred was,
and now we're marching on. We're going to test.
Right. One guy, Rudy Gobert, on March 11th, tested for positive after he messed with a whole bunch of people's microphones, and that basically was enough because we didn't have enough knowledge of COVID-19 or how to fight it or how to treat it or contact tracing protocols in place, nothing.
We're scared to death.
We just said, wait, we got to stop everything here. And the Rudy Gobert shutdown of the NBA on the decision of Adam Silver shut down the sports world. It then prompted all of the conferences in college to say, if they're not doing it, we're not going to do it.
Except for the Big East. Remember, they went out and played half
They got
day.
forced. They got forced to shut down because of
in New
public
York
scrutiny. Yeah.
In New York City. And the vibe's so different today. We knew this would happen. I said, I hope I'm wrong, but I think it happens in 2 weeks. I think one of the standby teams will have to be deployed, and if they're not, sadly, I think there will be at least one forfeit. I hope not. And if it's not, then I'm talking about my miracle cure again. But that's too bad for the Valley. And you're right about Loyola putting it on SIU today, but Dave, Loyola is really good. I don't know that they're better than 3 years ago.
It's read
at least as good.
I read 2 stories.
3 years ago was so guard oriented.
I read 2 stories that says they're better because they got Kurtwig. Kurtwig is now much stronger. He's a senior.
Boy, he's a big bruiser.
He is. He's hard to stop. And then they got another player. He's a forward that is not quite as big as Kurtwig, but he's a little more athletic, and he's a transfer from somewhere. And he's really good. And then they still have a couple of guards who can shoot. Now, maybe not as good as the starting senior guard they had on that team. But 2 different stories I read today about this Loyola team, and they all say it's a better team than the one that was the Cinderella 3 years ago. We'll see.
So far today in the bubble world that would impact the Tigers, there's not a lot of movement. There hadn't been really anybody lose that would help. And the teams that have won so far today, like St. Louis U, are right in there with the Tigers and maybe need to lose for the weekend's over and the Tigers win on Sunday. SLU's already they look pretty good today.
I feel
in their
bad.
14-point win over UMass.
I'll be honest with you. I feel bad for SLU. SLU entered this year as a really good team. They were playing well together, and they had
a
good coach for sure. We've seen him coach other places, and he had the unfortunate pause of I think it was 30 days. It was a month. It was a long time, and they came back and they were out of shape, out of practice, out of sync, out of everything. And they lost a couple of games they probably should not have lost and just put them in this position. I don't know what the committee's going to do. Here we go. We're back to this thing where I just don't know what this committee will do, which is why I worry.
It's all supposition.
And this is why I think we'll get upsets, because I don't think they're going to be able to really seed this tournament the right way, because I don't think we have enough information. To put Kansas right now as a 3 seed, come on. I don't see it. Should have lost at home to Utah.
That speaks to a really bad year in college basketball if Kansas indeed's a 3, because they haven't been spectacular at all. And remember what Tennessee did to them, and we see what teams have done to Tennessee and the trickle down of all that. And you could drive yourself crazy with all of that in college basketball. Earlier today, and I wouldn't want it any other way. And I'm not talking about 1 second of what we've done from 3 o'clock on for work for this show. But before we came on today, I'd watched a legitimate, solid 3 hours of college basketball. And it made me think about noon when I started watching. Between noon today and when One Shining Moment plays on Monday night, crowning the national champion, I wonder how much college basketball I will consume, be it reading or watching or listening, radio, Westwood One, games, SEC, then watching games and reading and trying to get ready to do this every day. It will be a lot. And I don't know in a 35-day frame any other sport kind of draws you in with that intensity.
No, it's because we're at the time of year, even with conference tournaments, that it's lose and say goodbye. And we love that kind of drama. And we know.
We love a bracket, too.
We know with this kind of drama, with a bracket and single elimination, that you do get one more chance next week because that's the one that really counts. This is like the dress rehearsal. But we find out a lot about those teams that will be a part of next week. And it just builds to the drama. And, yeah, there's –
And you don't have the everyday nature of it in – me too. You don't have the everyday nature of it in football for it to encompass that time frame, and in baseball, well, I don't think you have that many days because the end of the year, a lot of times teams are just playing out the string and they've been out of it for a long time. Then you get into October, but that's only about 20, 25 days. It's not the 30, 35 day marathon that really started before today. But if you just started it today, there will be a lot of consumption of college basketball.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I'm going to be consuming a lot of prep work into Sunday, which I've already done, and I'm really excited about it. I look at this team, and you just see Houston. They really are good. There are some people
Are they as good as they were last year, Dave?
I don't think so. But I'm not sure why, because when I look at the pieces, I don't know how they lost to those 3 teams. I really don't know.
Are the Tigers
how they lost?
Are the Tigers as good as they were a year ago going to Houston on this very same weekend?
I think they're a better team. Do they have a player as good as Precious Achiuwa? The answer to that is no. But they are a better team, without question, in my mind. They are a better defensive team, and they were a good defensive team a year ago.
You're right.
They are certainly better
and
now
is that.
offensively.
It's more of a 1 through 5 instead of kind of a big 1 and a piece or 2 at 2 and 3.
Yeah,
and I think they have more of a team, as you said, than a year ago. It was more star driven, and kind of what you got out of Precious is what you were going to get out of the team.
Yeah, no, I think Penny said it himself yesterday. We talked a little bit about it, but he said this is sort of how I envisioned my team would be when I took the job 3 years ago. And it's clearly the best that they have played since this season began. And, DeAndre Williams coming into the fold, he's becoming a critical player. I've said to you for a long time now, I think that Lester Quinones is a lot like Antonio Anderson, that he does a lot of those little things.
A big compliment.
It is a big compliment because Antonio is one of my favorite players now. He did all the little things. He took the best player that was a perimeter offensive player, and he tried to shut him down. And that's what Quinones does on a nightly basis. People tend to forget about the other side of the floor. This dude is shutting people down. He did it again the other night to that freshman, Murphy, who ate up the Tigers the first time. This time they were ready. And Quinones said, no, you're not going to do anything, and he didn't.
Who has to come up big Sunday, and who could be that contributory player that maybe we don't see coming today?
Well, I think 2 guys. I think Boogie Ellis has played so well in these last 3 games. He's led the team in scoring. He has every game he started, they've won. And he's starting. There ain't no with him as a starter. But he's the guy that is the symbol because he, to me, when I watched him walk on that court, and I was in Houston last year when this occurred, I saw a guy that really got intimidated. And we'll see. I think he's a barometer player. And because I don't believe Alo, who's out of the boot, by the way, but I don't think Alo is going to be able to play on Sunday. Now, he could probably play the following week, but I don't think he's going to be able to play this coming Sunday. Even Penny said it was 50-50 at best. I'm going to say that a lot is on Damian Baugh. And you heard Jason Munz a little bit earlier say that Damian Baugh is a guy that can do so many good things for you and doesn't get caught up in the moment like he did not at Tennessee. He didn't last year at Houston. The thing about him, though, is he tries too hard sometimes. If he doesn't try, and this is in the words of Munz, I love it, if he doesn't try to hit the home runs and just plays his steady way in control, he'll be a big factor. Those two guys, if they are successful,
few singles.
We've got a Memphis has got a chance in this game. And
Tigers win Sunday, 68-62.
Whoa. Mark that. Flag that. Boy, I hope you're right. 68-62. I'll feel better if they get to 71. They don't lose when they get to 71.
So your score 71 to something.
I'll say 71-67. How's that?
There you go, Drew.
I'll go 75.
Wow.
72.
Both teams in the 70s. Wow.
Here we go. It's on.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope that. Hey, I'll take it any way they can get it. A W would make me a very happy man.
Would you take 49-48?
Yes, sir. I would definitely take that because, honestly, I do think if Memphis beats Houston at Houston, that should surpass Wichita State with wins this week at Tulane and at home against South Florida. Really? That would be criminal if it does not. This portion of the show brought to you by Supercuts. Got to look good. You know, I'm doing a Facebook page open. That's what we do all the time with the Tiger broadcast now. Got to look good. Got to go Supercuts. 15 locations. Safe as could be. The Safe Salon commitment is still in place. What is that, you may ask? Well, this is the company policy when the pandemic first hit, and the Czech family that owns all 15 locations here makes sure it has stayed in place. It is a partnership that was developed with infectious disease doctors to maximize safety and distancing and sanitization in all of the salons. And they've been cutting hair ever since they reopened, doing it safely, no issues, and everybody looks good. If you would like to learn more about that Safe Salon commitment, if you would like to find out which of the 15 locations of Supercuts is closest to you, go to supercuts.com. And then when you go, I promise this, you will look good. Supercuts. Back in a minute. Our final segment of the week, Taco Bell Crunch Time, is right around the corner.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through lunch daily from 10 to 1.
Well, lunch is served.
Only on Sports 56, 98.5 FM, and 96.1 FM.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches, 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper, 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase, and 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel. The app is simple to use, great odds on all different betting markets, and when you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, and right now FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Fast withdrawals, the odds boosts, range of betting options, live betting. Just place a bet on any game and FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back in site credit if you don't win your first bet. Just place any bet you want on college, pro, anything. If you win, just keep the cash. If you lose, you'll get your entire bet up to $1,000 back in site credit. If you never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH. That's promo code CASH. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Site credit is non-withdrawable, expires 14 days after receipt. Terms apply. See sportsbook.fanduel.com for details. For problem gambling support, call 1-800-889-9789.
I'm a big fan of Town Village, and there is always something to do year-round. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, themed dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wollo said hello.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wollo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Come on, Muhammad, then we hit fame. We busy with the deal, we get insane.
Final segment of the week. Taco Bell Crunch Time coming your way in a second. I'll let you know this portion of the show. Brought to you by the F1 Insurance Team. And they are a team. They're a group of real, true insurance professionals that have a unique little philosophy. It's to get to know you so they can protect you the right way. And they can do that in so many different areas, like home insurance or auto insurance. What they do is sit you down, they get to know you, and then they got 10 leading companies to match you, your needs, and your budget. And they do the same thing with life insurance. That's 15 different companies that they'll peruse to make sure they find the right one that fits your family, you, and whatever budget you have in mind. And now, they do commercial insurance, too. Not many do both. The F1 Insurance Group does. They got virtually unlimited access to programs, again, to find out if you've got a small or mid-sized business, what fits you, what your needs are, what your budget is. All you got to do is make the call to Andrew or Heath or Grant at 386-4777. That's 901-386-GUR for Tigers. They're big Tiger fans. That's 4777. Get protected the right way with the Eflin Insurance Group. It is now officially Taco Bell Crunch Time.
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye. Hello,
Boop. You.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
All one. On two. On three. Hey.
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Learn today, Dave. Hail to the victors. Michigan, the champions of the Big Ten, and they're the team that can win it all out of the Big Ten. Juwan Howard, very much in the Penny Hardaway model. Former player, great NBA player, no head coaching experience back at his alma mater, and he's got Michigan entering the tournament very strong. They started the season ranked 25th. The Tigers were ranked 27th in that preseason AP poll.
I watched what it meant to Michigan, too, and it made me think of what Mike DeCourcy had said to us earlier in the week about how these regular season championships and tournaments, conference tournament championships, how it means something to the players and the coaches. That was rather evident for sure the other night. Now, I've learned today that you never know at the PGA Tour. They're at Artie's place, Bay Hill Club and Lodge in Orlando, Florida. Corey Connors, the Canadian, on top of the field, 9 under through 2. Martin Laird, Lanto Griffin, that's 2 and 3. But also tied for third at 7 under is Rory McIlroy and Victor Hovland. So those are names that we really know. Bryson DeChambeau has come out of the shadows. He's tied for he's in 6th. Jordan Spieth is tied for 7th at the midway point. He's 5 under.
Chopping wood.
He's
getting better every
there.
week.
He is absolutely getting there.
Could have done without the Utah Jazz players going last in the NBA All-Star Game draft. All y'all are doing is providing them more and more bulletin board material. They already have the small market chip on their shoulder, as voiced by Rudy Gobert earlier in the week. All kind of motivation for Utah to finally win it all. In the 21st century, only 3 first-time NBA champs, Toronto in 2019, Dallas in 2011, and in 2006 when Miami won it for the first time on their way to winning it 2 more times after that. Or 3 more. 2 or 3.
The thing I could have done with that was another story with a rollover accident. The first thing you think about is Tiger. And by the way, now we know Tiger was totally unconscious when the first witnesses arrived on the scene. He doesn't remember anything about the accident. But right after that happened, Chicago Bear tight end Jimmy Graham experienced a similarly terrifying incident. On Thursday morning, his vehicle rolled over after he swerved to avoid a potentially worse accident. But the good news is he was able to avoid any sort of major life-threatening injury. He is okay. He said, I walked away from it unscathed. Blessings. I'm glad to that.
Oh, and Dave, you know how automobile accident. I've never been involved in one, and boy, it's been a lot of scary things out there.
No doubt.
Keeping a close eye this weekend on so much. Sunday at 11, the big game between the Tigers and Houston. Must win for the at-large scenario. Conference tournaments, bids gained this weekend, bids lost, tickets punched this weekend. We'll have teams that have played their way in. Last chance this weekend for many teams jockeying, and in the SEC, a lot of teams jockeying for final tournament seedings.
And we'll see some of the endings of conference tournaments, too. Can't wait for all of that. We want to thank Bruce Marshall. We want to thank Jason Munns. We want to thank Drew Barrett for putting together good, heck yeah, hell no questions. And then we want to thank Andy Schiffman. So that'll do it for us for this whole week. I do want to let you know we will be back on Monday, same time, same place. We'll be talking about history maybe after the Tigers and Houston. Have a great weekend, everybody.